welcome to Rant on Reels. I'm Michael Fooch.
And I'm Mr. Xavier Barnett.
Today on the podcast, we're going to go deep diving into Cold Pursuit, What Women Want, the Lego Movie, and we're going to go to the vault to talk about The Notebook.
Ooh, a classic.
Before we get started, I'll shout out to the 2019 Super Bowl winning New England Patriots.
Yeah, that was amazing. I did not expect that to happen.
You know, I know a lot of people say it's the boringest Super Bowl ever, but I will just say that boring is perspective. If you're a fan of the Patriots, they never trailed once. It was very, very good.
Yeah, it's like everyone said that. It's like unless you're a fan of the Patriots, this is not an entertaining Super Bowl for you.
I don't care. I don't care about anyone else. I enjoyed it. The last Super Bowl the last two Super Bowls that they were in, one they won, one they lost. They were very exciting, but I had heart attacks, so it's better this way.
100%.
All right, this is not a sports podcast. So, any movie news that you want to talk about this week?
Yeah, I only have one.
Not a big week for movie news, right?
No, they're all getting geared up for the Oscars, right? So,
yeah.
But the big news is Aquaman's getting a spinoff. Can you guess which major character is getting a spinoff for Aquaman?
Mira?
No.
One of the villains?
Yes. If you, in a way.
Which one? I don't remember the character names. Is it the brother?
No.
Manta?
No.
Those are the two villains of the movie.
No, you forgot the third villain.
Who was the third villain?
Remember when they went into the sea and a certain group...
The trench?
Yes.
Like the little crazy things that were like thousands of them that were attacking Aquaman and Mira?
Yep, that's getting...
How can that get a movie? What are they gonna do?
It's supposed to be a horror movie.
A horror movie. DC's gonna make a horror movie.
About the trench, yes.
But what would they do with this horror movie? Like, they're just mindless creatures. So, like, a boat comes in, attacks them, and because they're not superheroes, they all die?
Apparently.
But, like, won't they just attack and kill everyone really quickly like they did in the movie?
I have no idea. This is, people always wonder why people think DC doesn't know what it's doing, and then they make these kind of decisions. And
is this, like, actually in the works, or are they just thinking about it?
It's in the works.
Oh, God.
I think James Wan was getting interviewed about it.
He let it slip? Is he directing it?
I don't know. I don't think so. I have to look more into those news, but... Oh, man. Don't you just love DC?
No, not even a little bit. At least their universe. Do you have any other stories? Because I have none.
No, I don't. But let's dive into the movies here. Quick, before you let us know, we're going to have spoilers for The Cold Pursuit, Lego Movie 2, What Men Want, and The Notebook. Also, don't forget to follow us on iTunes, Twitter, Spotify, YouTube. We're everywhere. Okay, just if you don't agree with our opinion, just be sure to tell us why we're wrong, and we'll definitely argue about it.
No, we won't. We don't care.
We
We care. We want you to disagree with us because good disagreements breed good discussion.
Yeah.
But we encourage you to comment on our opinions. All right, let's start with What Men Want.
All right.
I'm going to start with some opening thoughts for this movie. And you know, at the end of the day, I felt this movie was your typical romantic comedy. You know, it's enjoyable, but nothing special. Like, it didn't blow off the top of what I would have expected from a great romantic comedy. It's just the simple retelling of What Women Want from, I believe it came out in 2000 with Mel Gibson. Just a reversal, except for instead of it being an advertising agency, it's an sports agency that our main character works at.
It's predominantly male-oriented, right?
Doesn't do anything special. Anything you have to add to that?
Why would you think it falls short? Why did the movie fall short for you?
Well, I haven't actually said I didn't like it yet.
Oh. I thought you from the way of it, you sound like you did not like it at all.
I don't dislike it. Let's talk about the movie, and then I'll kind of tell you where I think it falls a little bit short, or why I'm not going to give it as high as a rating as it possibly could, as it would give some really great romantic comedies. And I'm going to start with our main character. Her name is Ali, like Muhammad Ali, but her name's Allison. They call her Ali for short.
Okay, so
And she's this sports agent. She's predominantly with women athletes. She follows a lot of Olympians, gold medalists. She represents them. And she's about to get promoted, or so she thinks. She's going to be a partner at her firm, where she's been for her entire career, who she is just very well, not necessarily well liked, but just well liked by her clients. She brings a lot of clients in. However, in order to be named a partner, you have to be unanimously approved by all the other partners.
Okay.
And she wasn't. They gave it to someone else, someone who's younger and not as qualified as she is. So she's really upset by this.
So yeah, this is.
She runs into her boss's office and says, like, listen, I bring in tons of clients, and if I were to ever leave, they would all leave with me. A little Jerry Maguire reference, I thought, and at this point. But the guy says, well, here's the problem. Yeah, you have all these clients, but you don't have one of the big three sports. You don't have the NFL, you don't have the MLB, and you don't have an NBA client. Or at least a big one, I guess, because it seemed like one of her clients was Karl Anthony Towns, but I don't know. It didn't really...
I'd say that's a pretty big...
I would too, but they made it so like she definitely knew him and he was in a part of the agency, but I made the assumption that they were clients, or client and agent. But either way, so she is going to go try to get Jamal Berry. And Jamal Berry is the prospective #1 pick in the NBA draft.
Okay.
And he's got a crazy dad who kind of runs, or his current agent, and has his own views on who should be representing him. So
okay. Who plays the father?
Tracy Morgan, and I'm not a big Tracy Morgan fan, but he does an adequate job in this movie. It's not really about them, it's about Allie.
Okay.
And we find out pretty quickly that she's the only woman, kind of, at least it looks like at this first meeting, that is a sports agent at this firm. So we definitely get some chauvinists in some of the men that work there. But we also see that she's not a team player, and we see this throughout the movie, that she doesn't listen. She's very domineering. We get this idea that she does things on her terms. Like, there's a scene in the movie where she meets this guy at a bar, and she has, like, a one-night stand with him, and she just rides him on top, like pushes him down, like, almost suffocates him, and then after she's done, she goes onto her side of the bed, grabs all of the covers, and just falls asleep. Wow. But it just kind of shows you her character. The way she treats her assistant is horrible. Mm-hmm. You know, she's an absentee friend. Like, she's got a group of 3 friends. She kind of blows them off here and there. So this is the kind of character we get. Mm-hmm. Overall, though, we get this idea that she struggles with men. And all 3 of her female friends, they don't actually say it, but they insinuate that you can't deal with men. Mm-hmm. So here's my major question with this movie, and this is what I don't understand. Can this movie work with this reversal of a woman knowing what men want instead of a man knowing what women want, or reading their thoughts? And the reason I ask this is because the idea in this movie is she needs to know what men want, so she needs to be in their head so she can get a better understanding of how her coworkers or how the men in her life feel to become a better person. Mm-hmm. But my problem with this theory is you've made all of the men chauvinistic. So if the men are the problem, why does she have to become a better person?
Fair enough.
So the whole concept of this movie is basically saying she needs to improve because of these chauvinistic men.
And okay, so that's where it kind of falls flat.
So I don't think one of the problems I have with this movie is I don't know if the premise can work. It makes sense from a male perspective because the men are being chauvinistic. The men are they're not treating this one woman the right way. Mm-hmm. And we see it throughout the movie that she's not treated as an equal, right? She's not invited to the poker tournament. Or not poker tournament. The poker nights that they have. Their secret poker nights that they keep from her. Mm-hmm. Like, these are not nice people. So why does she need to become a better person? Because that is exactly the reason why this psychic gives her powers, or we think. Does that make sense?
Uh, I feel so the way you explain the concept, yes, but the actual concept, no, it does not.
I don't understand it. I think it could have been a lot better if they had made more women. Then they did not make this about men and women's rights. They made this more. They had a couple women's agents, sports agents, and she just had problems dealing with people. Because then I think the comedy could work. But to me, what the movie they were trying to make was more dramatic, and I think they needed to go with the more dramatic tone. They needed to go a different way with it. Which leads me into how she gets these abilities, which I didn't like either. So in the first movie, Mel Gibson's character is trying on this, I guess, how to wax his legs for the product for advertising to be a woman, as Helen Hunt tells him to do. And he slips and falls in the bathtub and kind of electrocutes himself, and he kind of gets this power.
Usually nowadays people usually die, but he got a power from that. That's awesome.
Well, not like a full, like it was like a quick jolt. Like he didn't like. Yeah.
Oh, he wasn't in a bath. Okay.
So what happens in this movie is she goes to her friend's bachelor party. They bring in a psychic, and she gives the psychic, who clearly is a hack and doesn't know what she's doing, gives our main character Allie some kind of tea, and she drinks it. And then she goes to a club. She hits her head on the stage. She wakes up. She can hear men's thoughts. I personally don't think this is very effective or a good method for her to get these powers. Yeah. What do you think?
I always, I like the classic origin stories of bitten by radioactive things, or parents were murdered and they decided to discover psychic powers. I feel like that would be a way better story, but I have a little bit of a bias.
Well, I'm just thinking, if you're going to make a movie, at least write a good reason for this to happen, or like something that could be, I don't want to say plausible because it's not realistic to begin with, but something that can be like, oh, okay, that's interesting, like a little jolt of electricity to kind of get them brain working, right? Like, I don't know. I didn't think they did a good job. How many people every day smash their head against something? You don't get these kind of powers. It's got to be something a little bit different.
Or maybe like they unlocked certain parts of their brain, right? Because that rumor.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, her job is to now sign this basketball player, Jamal Berry. So she starts with her newfound power, knows that the poker game is going to be at one of the partners' houses, and that that Jamal's dad's going to be there. So she crashes this poker party and then like dominates. And they have like Shaquille O'Neal's there. Who's the owner of Dallas Mavericks?
Oh my God, I can't believe I can't say this. Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban, thank you. He's there. And like it's supposed to be funny, and like she's dominating this poker game, and finally it's like the last hand where it's the dad and her. And she's got a straight flush, or like at least a flush. He's got 2-7 off suited, and she lets him win, which is important, I think, because it shows that she's kind of softening her stance. She's not this domineering person that has to win at everything. But they don't develop this at all through the story, and I think that again the movie fails at plot development with this scene.
Okay.
We also get throughout this movie this relationship with this one night stand she has with this guy named Will. So he's a bartender, and after this one night stand, there's a kid in the house. There's a wedding picture, so she's like already late for work. So she's like running, like, "You're married. You should be ashamed of yourself," etc., etc., etc. But she doesn't let him explain because she's domineering and doesn't talk to people well. So she left her driver's license at the house, so they come to visit her at work, and the father of Jamal basically says she only trusts women that have families. So she lies and says that that Will and her son are husband and my child.
Oh my God. Oh. So that's going to bite her in the...
Of course it will. Rom-com, right? A traditional rom-com story, boy meets girl. Things go good, and this is what we're going to see happen now. That Will and Allie, they start hanging out. She meets the dad. Everything's good. It's fantastic. And then she learns about he learns about the deception that she was just using him,
Yeah.
using his son. They break up. He breaks up with her, and in the end, she apologizes, and they get back together. It's standard issue, typical rom com. So when all of this happens, when things start going bad, the Jamal ends up signing with one of another one of their agents, and instead of going to the NBA draft, is going to go play in China for like triple the money or something like that. So she's hit rock bottom.
Okay.
So she decides that her friend's wedding, who's getting married, she's going to go there, and she's just going to be honest with her powers instead of using them for lies. So she calls out like her friends, the secrets of her friends' husbands. So the best friend that's getting married, is the husband or the fiance is cheating. So they're in the middle of their vows, she like calls them out, and then the maid of honor, her other best friend, her husband is sleeping with another dude.
Oh, okay.
So there's this huge fight at the wedding. She gets hit in the head with a vase, wakes up, no powers. So the last element of a good rom-com is everything has to be put back in order. The first thing she does is she apologizes to her assistant, who wants to be an agent. And she basically says, "I'm sorry. I knew that you were good, but I didn't want to lose you as an agent." And then she's going to eventually make him an agent. She ends up getting Jamal signed by going to where he plays basketball and having a conversation with him. What do you want, Jamal? Do you want to play for your hometown team, or do you want to go to China? Don't listen to me. Do what you want. And then she walks away, and then we get a scene 2 minutes later where apparently he signed her. I don't know. We don't get why. To that agency to Ali. Then
I thought it was to a team.
Oh, he gets drafted by the Atlanta Hawks because they have the first pick overall. So he gets to play for his hometown team.
Oh.
And then she goes to apologize to her friends who want nothing to do with her at first. She says, "I'll be a better friend. I won't be an absentee friend. I'll even buy margaritas every Monday." So everything's good with that. And then she becomes partner.
Yay!
So she gets the way they do partners. You get the football. You might have seen this in the preview where she intercepts the pass.
Yes.
So she gets this football, and she's like gives this speech and says, "Yeah, that's why I'm starting my own agency." And then says, "Don't worry, I'm coming." And the one other partner, Kevin, is coming with her. I don't know where this comes from, but whatever. And then she apologizes to Will, and everything's hunky-dory. They get back together. I feel like this movie, that's the movie in a nutshell. I feel this movie's missing a lot of scenes. Okay. Like, why she leaves. Like, there's no reason why she leaves. And moreover, why Kevin leaves with her. Mm-hmm. So Kevin's got a couple of scenes in this movie. The first scene is at the agency conference where she thinks she's going to become a partner, and we get this idea that he's kind of shady, and then she thinks that Kevin's the one that won't vote for her because it's got to be unanimous. One person's not voting for her. She thinks it's Kevin, and then Kevin comes up with this video tribute to get Jamal signed. It's horrible. It's borderline racist. It's like every African-American stereotype that you can possibly think of put in this 90s video, and both the father and Jamal are like, we don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And then the third scene is like he basically calls her out, like, why you're supposed to be a team player. Like, my video was good. What were you thinking? And she's like, your video wasn't good. And then I know you're the person who doesn't vote for me. And he's like, I did. I vote for you every time. He's like, no, you don't. And in his head, she's like, no, I do. I vote for you all the time. So she knows she's telling the truth. Mm-hmm. And then she's like talking about how all these qualities, if I were a man, you would call me brilliant. And he's in his head, he's like, nope, I call you a dick. Just to kind of give you this idea, like, she's not a nice person, right? It's not just this is the again, one of the problems in this movie are these men chauvinistic, or is she just a dick? Like, I don't. Yeah,
you don't know the direction.
They portray it both ways, so they don't give us, the audience. I don't know who to root for. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I like Taraji B. Henson, and but I'm not on board with this character. Maybe it's because I'm a man, I don't know, but I'm just not on board with it. Whereas like in other movies, like we talked about On the Basis of Sex, where clearly Ruth's character is being treated differently because she's a woman. I'm like, oh my god, these men are the worst. I don't feel that. I don't have that same feeling here. But anyway, that's the last scene we see with Kevin, where she pretty much berates him, and the next scene we have, he's going with her to a new agency. There's something missing in this movie.
Yeah. Scene of them making up, right?
Or being like, you know what, you're actually a good person or something like that. Or like her working through her problems. When she works through her problems, she never works through her coworker problems. And then, of course, I feel this movie tries to do too much. We see she's a dick to her assistant. She has to deal with this client. She has to deal with her boyfriend. She has to deal with her best friends. There's just so many things going on, and there's nothing that really gets developed properly. It's all rushed, and it is a 2-hour movie, and rom-coms tend to be an hour and a half, hour 40 tops.
It's a 2-hour movie? Oh. For a rom-com?
Yeah. I don't need this movie to reinvent itself or reinvent the rom-com genre. A rom-com has a formula, and movies should stick with it. All I'm saying is, give me a good story to go with your romantic comedy.
Something written, make the movie make sense.
Yeah.
It's so you apparently you did not feel for Allie.
No, I don't feel for her. I don't. You definitely get this idea she's selfish the entire movie, and the last 10 minutes of a movie where she's trying to redeem herself, to me, is not enough.
She needed to do a bit more.
Yeah, like I feel like throughout the middle portion of the movie, when she's got these powers, like in What Women Want, we see Mel Gibson kind of relating to women as the movie goes on, right? She doesn't start relating to the men until after she loses the power, and even then, it's something that Will, her boyfriend, says that not even through her mind, that you can't think of what men think in their head, you have to think of what they think in their heart. So it's not even it's what she was doing with all of her women clients all along. Okay. When she gets Jamal signed, she doesn't have the brain capability of that. She uses her tier 1 sports agent ability that gets all of her women agents like Serena Williams signed.
Oh, she has Serena Williams?
Yeah.
Oh, whoa! She has a cameo in this.
No, she's not in the movie.
Oh,
she's just like
mention her.
Yeah, she's that's just, we know that was one of her clients for 100%.
All right.
Because we see the agent talking to someone about Serena Williams.
Oh, okay.
So I don't feel for her, and even in how people would describe her throughout the movie, I don't feel for her.
A lot of I was watching over like some similar reviews for some fun, and they mentioned that as well. Her character, it didn't seem, no one fell for the character, and she was rude up until like the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, like there's, and I'm going to say this again, but there's two types of movies you could be making. You could be making the male or the men chauvinistic world, and she's got to fight in that world, or you can make her the bad character who needs redemption. They try to do both things in this movie, and they don't develop either one.
So the messages aren't very clear.
No,
right?
and again, the ending of the movie is one thing that I really have issues with, because at the end of the day, there was no even mention that she was going to start her own company. It wasn't even something that was thought of, like, oh, my dream one day was to start my own agency, but then I got this job, so I was going to have it my entire life, and I've been stuck here. And it came out of left field, like, except for when she's starting to give this speech, and you're like, oh my god, she's going to leave?
Yeah.
But like the entire time, you're like, oh, she's going to make partner, movie will be over, done.
Oh, okay, so see, it had no foreshadowing or no preparement for it. It's just, you never see any hint of that. It just seemed like it was added just to, we're going to stick it to the guys.
Yeah, and again, I don't know what kind of movie they were trying to make. I'd love to sit and talk with the director and the writers and be like, hey, like, let's talk about it. What were you thinking? Because maybe you can sell me on it. But to me, a good movie, the writer and the director leave it on the film and allow me to come up with it. If I've got to be like, I don't know what you're trying to do, that's not a good sign for a movie.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions in this movie that you want to talk about?
Well, I wanted to know why it fell short, but I think you were very clear.
I think there's a couple other things like it was too over. Some of the humor was a little too over the top with it. A lot of sex humor, a lot like very stereotypical to men. Like all when she's reading their minds, like through everyone, like talking about oh that woman's got a nice butt or like oh like a lot of closet homosexuality. Like that was a thing. Very raunchy as a movie. I never felt like it got inside what a real man is thinking about. Now, I'm going only by what I know, what I think about.
Yeah.
And yes, I think I like many men I would assume think about sex a lot, but we think we're more than just that.
I beg to differ.
Really, you're telling me you're one dimensional like that?
I think all men are. No, I'm just playing.
Okay, good. But the most important thing where it fell short, it needed to be simple. Good movies don't need to be crazy. They can be nice and simple. And I think this movie, if it cut a couple things out, it could have done a lot of better things with it.
Yeah, good movies. They try to do like a Guy Ritchie or a Christopher Nolan, try to to overcomplicate.
Yeah, and you know what? When you have a good script like we talk about Christopher Nolan, like an Inception or Memento or a Prestige, yeah, they work great. But those movies aren't comedies. Yeah. They're not romantic movies. You gotta stick with the genre you're making. There's a reason why a rom-com has had the same formula since like the first rom-com in the 1930s. There's a reason for that. Don't change. And there's a reason why movies that try to change that formula fail.
100% that reason.
Any other questions before we move on, or before we give our ratings?
No, I'm pretty good.
No?
You saw this.
I do have one more. Actually, I do have one more question for you. So, in the last couple years, we've seen these gender swapping movies in action. We've seen Ghostbusters, we've seen Ocean's 8, and we've seen What Men Want. And for me, all three of them haven't been successful. They haven't been good movies. Do you think that these gender swapping movies, they work or they can work?
Personally, I think it can work. The issue is the scripts aren't written properly. It's a good chance, right? I feel like there's a lot more bad movies than good movies made in the year. So the chance of a gender swap and role movie being bad is a lot higher because it's just like a movie, right? I feel like the first step is to just write a good movie, and then however you want to do the role, then find out the rules, what you can do. But most of the time, it's just let's do this for shock value, or let's just get these characters in because yay for feminism. I'm all for feminism, but sometimes it's let's focus on making a good movie first, and then try to get then you can do whatever you want with the rules.
I see what you're saying, and I tend to agree with the majority of it, the strong majority of it. I'm also going to look at these three movies as three very different kind of directions that they were trying to go in. I'll start with Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is a classic movie. You can't remake it. You could have, if they had chosen to stay in the same world, same with the same principles of the world, and made a movie where like Dan Aykroyd's character Ray Stantz trained these four women, I think it would have been a much better movie. I think people would have latched on a little bit better. But the script obviously has to be good, and that's part of it.
Yeah.
Ocean's 8. Again, you're crapping on another franchise that's already in existence. If they had called that Bullocks 8, I bet you it would have been a very different perspective. It would have been like, oh, we're gonna take a classic character and that's been around for 3 movies and be like, we're gonna throw in the sister that everyone's just gonna buy into, and then we're gonna create the same kind. It doesn't work. And then you got this movie, What Men Want. That's a romantic comedy that I think would actually be it could have been a great movie. It's a great idea for a gender swap to get in the minds of men, and they just don't do it the right way. It's again, like you said, it's a script problem, And like you said, in terms of this idea of feminism, when these three male movies were being made, they're not about male dominance. They're not. They just happen to be men because in the 1980s it was a men's world, right? And in the 1960s when Ocean's 11 was written, it was a man's world, right? It was just kind of the way things went. And what men want is just happened to be because men are kind of chauvinistic, so they need to understand women a little bit better. So, to me, if you're making these gender swapping movies, I would not necessarily make them about female empowerment. I think female empowerment would be there in the movie itself. We talked a little bit about this with Black Panther when we did our top 10 movies of the year. We say a lot of time African American movies, the problem they make is they make it about African American and they throw it at you.
Yeah.
Instead of what Black Panther did is they just made a good character and indirectly what they're doing is showing how great African American culture is, how great African American characters can be. You don't need to make it about it. It just kind of naturally flows indirectly. And I think that if you're going to make a good gender swapping movie, that's something to think about. Don't make it about us women need to get together because, it's always about the men. I feel like if you're trying to get both sexes on board with the movie, that would just come naturally without you having to say it. We can read in between lines. Like when I watch Black Widow on screen, I don't really like, oh my God, like she needed to tell me how great she is or how great women are because and how you don't need to tell me that. I can see it on the screen. When I watched Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie, I didn't need her to say, I have to be a woman. I have to do this for women. I could see that. It comes out in there because it's a strong female character.
Yeah, same with Ray, Like,
if it's indirect, it has the exact same effect. I feel like more women would relate more with Ray than they would with someone like Ali because it's just natural. And it's always better when you're doing things naturally. When you try to force something, it doesn't work.
Yeah, 100%. Unless it's pretty much based on that aspect, right? Like the basis of sex.
Yes, absolutely. Or you make a Martin Luther King movie like Selma. Like that, obviously that has to be a fundamental aspect of your movie.
Right.
But when you're making, like when you're changing these gender roles or race roles in some cases, right? That is something I wouldn't focus on. Just make your movie. As if it were the quote unquote normalcy of it. Because when you bring attention to something, you now make it not normal, you make it controversial. And it's better that's what the original Ghostbusters and the original Ocean's or the George Clooney Ocean's 11, they didn't have any controversy to go with it, so people aren't watching it with controversy, they're just watching it for a movie. But the moment you make it about gender, or you make something about race, or you make something about sex, you've created controversy with it, and that's just going to eliminate some of the audience. So, do you have a rating to give this movie?
I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't be able to rate it yet.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give this a 6.5. And I'm going to say it's a good romantic comedy. And that's where I'm going to draw the line. It's a serviceable movie. If you like rom-coms, you're not going to walk out of that theater and be like, oh my God, I want my money back. You will enjoy it. I'd go up to like 6.8. It's a borderline 7 movie for me. But I'm going to go with 6.7 because I think it failed to do a lot of things that made it a little bit less enjoyable for me. All right. Enough about that. Let's go on to Cold Pursuit.
Oh, great.
What do you mean, oh, great?
This movie's all right.
All right. What are your opening thoughts of this movie without getting into any major spoilers?
Major spoilers, yeah. My thoughts with this movie was it's another Liam Neeson movie. Kind of me, I suppose I'm getting sick of the whole Liam Neeson beating people up, but they did do an interesting twist. This movie's not terrible, but it's not the greatest thing ever. It did have an interesting twist, and some of the writing elements are very good in my opinion, but I guess I'm kind of been there, done that with Liam Neeson's character.
I have to disagree with you on this one. I went in with the same preconceived notions. I've kind of been sick with the Liam Neeson kind of characters as well. I thought this was going to be the same old Liam Neeson movie. The Commuter, The Walk Among Tombstones, The Run All Night, The Unknown, The Takens, etc. he seems to release a movie like this every year.
Yeah.
And you know what? I thought, this is it. I'm done with it. And although there are elements of these movies in this movie, this is not those kind of movies. I thought this was a fantastic film. I really enjoyed the plot. I thought the story was very realistic. I loved the storytelling in this movie. The little nuances and what they do. Like when someone dies, they have a black screen with their religion symbol. So like if it's Christian, like a cross. If he was Jewish, the Star of David. If it was a native, it was like and I think, what kind of animal was it? Was it a bird?
I think, yeah, it was
Or a bear, whatever the tribe's animal was. The dialogue throughout the movie, which I'll bring up as we talk about this movie, as we dive deep into it, I really liked it. I thought the characters, some of the characters, especially the villain of this movie, both of the villains of this movie, were fantastically developed and with a little twist to them as well. It was humorous. I was laughing the entire movie. It's a black comedy, and this is what the other Liam Neeson movies aren't. They're action movies. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are action elements to this, and I know Liam Neeson said that this is his last action movie, but I don't find this an action movie. It's a black comedy that's very funny, and I think this might be one of Liam Neeson's best movies. Forget in more recent years. I think this is one of the ones I like the best.
Oh.
So do you want to dive deep into it then?
Yeah, we can dive deep into it.
All right.
So the movie starts off Liam Neeson.
Nels Coxman. We'll use his actual name.
We'll use his actual. Okay, Nels Coxman. He's just, he's going away. He's shoveling snow.
He's not shoveling snow.
He's shoveling.
He's a snowplow. He doesn't actually shovel. He plows the snow.
And shoveling. It's the same thing.
He's a snowplow. He drives a big, huge truck. He doesn't shovel any snow.
Okay, fair enough. Fine.
So he's a snowplow in a resort town in Colorado.
Yes, in a resort town in Colorado, and he's just, he does the same routine every day. Doesn't really change anything up. Lives his life. Seems like a good father.
And a good citizen, right? Mm-hmm. We find out right at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the movie, that he has won the Citizen of the Year award for his town. And we also find out that he's not really a good speech giver. Even though I thought his speech was pretty good. It said what it needed to say. Yeah. And his son works at his son Kyle works at the airport. Mm-hmm. The small little airport of the city. And the same night that he wins this award, his son gets abducted, shot up with heroin, and to the point where he ODs, and he's left on the streets in Denver.
Yeah.
So both of the parents take it hard. The mom, Grace, she's obsessed with, we didn't know our son. Yeah. Did you know that he had Facebook? Did you know what his favorite band was? What did you talk about when you went on hunting trips? Like, she just loses it. Yeah, we talked about hunting.
Yeah, the thing is, this, they're totally characters, right? She didn't understand how he dealt with it, right? How everyone deals with grief differently.
And how is he going to deal with it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, he decides to murder a couple people.
Not right away.
Oh, yeah, he was going to kill himself.
Yeah, he's going to use his rifle at his shop to shoot himself in the face and die.
Quick question, I'm trying to remember this from shot. This was before the wife leaves, right?
Yes, way before.
Okay.
So, the kind of thing that was going on is he's about to kill himself, and he runs into Dante, or Dante's beaten up, and he's like, mm-hmm. "I'm sorry, Mr. Coxman. I'm really sorry. Kyle didn't know, but I stole some drugs from bad people, and these people are going to kill me."
Wow.
So he starts threatening Dante. He's like, "I want to know a name." And he's like, "I don't know. I only know this guy named Speedo." Okay. Now, before we get into the vigilante part of this movie, one thing I didn't enjoy about it was at the beginning, the police seemed to just okay to call this an OD for Kyle.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh yeah, we see this all the time. It's just an OD."
Yeah.
I just feel like there's things that made the cops of Denver look very stupid.
Yeah,
Like,
my son wasn't a druggie. No,
yeah,
no,
did
he
you not
was.
see like the needle mark was like in his like his butt area?
Yeah,
Like there's no other needle
yeah.
marks
There's
on
no...
the body. Like when you think of heroin addicts, like there's needle
There's
marks in like the fingers, like they
yeah
have like
everywhere.
yeah.
They only had one.
So I mean, I think this is hard to get going, and I mean, isn't also the fact that remember he took his mom's car to work that day, so
Yeah,
his mom's car is at the airport that he worked at, and he's in Denver.
yeah.
Like,
Why
isn't
would
that
he
something?
be?
And if this was if this was normal behavior, like this would happen. This would happen. This would be a one-time thing, right?
Yeah.
So those are one or two things I had an issue with. But anyway, Liam Neeson finds out, so he goes on this vigilante spree. So he goes to Denver to meet Speedo. He gets him alone, and then he beats him up.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a funny scene. Like, so that he goes to like this club. He's like, "I'm looking for Speedo," and Speedo comes, and they go into this elevator in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, "I just want to know if you know my son, Kyle Coxman." And he's like, no, never met your son. He like flashes his gun.
You know, the typical gangster thing.
Just you can go, and we'll forget about this. And Neeson just punches him in the face, knocks him out.
He just keeps punching him.
And then he finally gives up another name, Limbo. And then so Coxman's like, well, I'm just gonna kill you. So he just goes to strangle him, and he strangles him dead. And he lets go, and then he takes another breath.
And then he kills
Again,
him
it's just that little nuance of humor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he clearly doesn't know what he's doing. In all the other movies, the Commuter, the Walk Among Tombstones, all of those movies.
What was the one nonstop? Yeah.
Yeah, no, was the Nonstop's another one. Yeah, all of these movies were taken like he's an expert in this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This one he's not an expert, and they don't make him look like an expert. And I think this really adds to the plot.
No, that's one of the things I liked about it, and one of the differences between the movies, right?
So after he kills him, he rolls him up in chicken wire and then throws him over like a gorge into like a waterfall.
Yeah.
So funny. Then he goes to get Limbo. And Limbo, he works at a wedding dress store. So Coxman comes in and he's waiting for Limbo to finish off with a mother and her daughter who are buying a wedding dress.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's done, when they leave, he goes to Limbo. He's like, "All right, I need a tux." And it's like Limbo already knows what he's there for.
Yeah.
But he shot off his shotgun, so it's under his jacket. So he just pulled. His rifle. Sorry, yeah, so it's under his jacket.
Yeah.
Not a shotgun. It's a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
So he saws it off and he points it at him and like knocks him in the face,
Mm-hmm.
and then be like, "All right, what do you know?" And he gives him another name, Santa. And then he's like, "Who's the greatest quarterback in NFL history? Is it Peyton Manning or John Elway?" And he's already answered this Elway. So the guy Limbo answers John Elway, and we're like, "Oh, he's gonna let him go." He just shoots him again. Just the little nuances. Then he wraps him up in chicken wire, throws him over the gorge. So funny. So the next person is this guy named Santa, who works in his town. And he's running with like a couple kilos of coke or heroin or whatever drugs they're selling, and then he follows him along the road, and then kind of goes around these roads in Colorado. There's only one lane, and he's the person that's
creates the lanes.
We're talking like what 5 feet of snow on either side of them.
He shifts the earth.
Yeah. So he stops,
waterbender.
so like both cars are right in front of each other. He gets out and then starts like punching the Santa character.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's punching him, he's like he falls down and he's like clearly tired. And the Santa's like, "What you old man? You tired?"
Yeah, he starts laughing at him.
Again, just really funny. Then he shoots him dead and then puts him in chicken wire. And
that part kind of reminded me of the Killing Joke.
Oh my god, it's just so funny.
Batman.
You're too tired to beat me up, you old man. He's like, "Yep, I'm too tired."
Let me just shoot you in the head.
Oh my god, it's so funny. Like again, I don't know how you don't like this movie. It's not like Liam Neeson going around killing people. It's Liam Liam Neeson trying to kill people, and he does. But it's like it's every death is humorous.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like the whole car thing. Like I guess it was me. Like I know you said it was realistic, but for me, like he just goes and smashes the car, and no one finds that car anymore because it
Well,
goes down
it's
the hill.
of course not. It's in the middle of a mountain in Denver or in Colorado.
We don't know if it's a mountain or not.
We do. It's a ski resort. What do you think? They're in the Rocky or whatever the mountains of Colorado are. I don't think they're the Rockies.
No, he was.
Yeah, they're the Rockies.
There's little. He literally was just out of Colorado. He wasn't that far. We
No,
don't know.
they're in. That's a whole mountain region, 3 hours out of Denver. They call Denver the Mile High City because it's a mile in the air, a mile above seawater. There's literally 5 feet of snow everywhere. So it went down the hill and it was probably buried in snow. They wouldn't find it until the spring.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know. I just always felt like he probably should have got caught a little while ago. But
Why would
police.
Why would he get caught? There's no bodies. And remember, no one's reported these people missing.
That's
And
true.
2 of them are being killed in Denver. Why would the Kehoe, the city they're in, is 3 hours away from Denver. So why would they even suspect a guy from Denver who's 3 hours away?
Fair enough.
Yeah, I very, very true. So while this is all going on, we're introduced to the villain whose code name or his gangster name is Viking and his real name is Trevor. And so in all the middle of this, we're introduced to him. And he's this drug kingpin. And he has this son, Ryan. And it's such a funny situation because Trevor or Viking is this huge health nut. So he wants his son to follow this strict routine of eating like the healthiest of the healthy things. And as they're driving and we meet him, he's going through his lunch to make sure everything in the lunch is okay, is kosher.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulls out these 2 cookies. And he's like, "What are these doing in here?" And like his driver Mustang's like, I thought the kid would like them. And he throws them out the window, and he tells his son, "I'm sorry that they were put in there." Like his son's like, like his son would be angry that he got cookies.
Mm-hmm.
We also find out that his son is pretty smart. So Mustang, his first lieutenant, like his right hand man, is into fantasy football. And he's losing a lot. So he's like, goes to his son. He's like, his son's name is Ryan. And he goes to Ryan and is like, "Hey, can you help me out?" And Ryan looks at this fantasy football lineup. He's like, "You have 4 Cleveland Browns on your team." He's like, "I'm from Cleveland. I have to represent." And the son's like, "Yeah, I have to be loyal. Loyalty." And the son looks at it. He's like, "I can't help you." He throws it up.
That was a good. I'm not gonna lie. That was one of the
Making fun of the
jokes.
Cleveland Browns. You cannot go wrong with that.
I thought it was great.
We're also introduced to his ex-wife Aya, who is Native American, and we get the idea. We get this. She used to be a druggie, really deep into it, but she got clean. She's now in a custody battle for the son.
She did not want that life anymore.
And she's not into this health kick. She's like, let the kid eat a little bit.
Yeah, let him live.
And it's funny because it's all of the henchmen, all like Mustang, give the kid like some cereal, some sugar cereal here and there. They hide stuff from Trevor. It's actually really cool.
They all sneak it for the poor child.
So when these 3 dealers go missing, he gets really upset. And he thinks it's another drug dealer that's trying to steal his turf.
I think it's like a turf war.
Yeah, and his name is White Bull.
Yeah.
And he's the Native American drug dealer who has had a deal with Viking's father that they don't go into each other's territory.
Yeah, his territory is pretty much that resort town.
Yeah, that's his territory. My territory, or Vikings' territory, is Denver. And they haven't had problems for, 25, 30 years, however.
They even have a symbol of friendship.
Yeah.
That little necklace
Yes.
with the tooth.
Yes, absolutely. So without doing any homework, Viking grabs one of White Bull's dealers and brings him in and tortures him. And when Viking arrives as he's being tortured, this kid, he's like, "This guy's not going to talk. These guys love pain." So he shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
And then puts him on a sign in Kehoe
to try and send a message
with that necklace to say that truce over.
Mm-hmm.
But unbeknownst to Viking was that the native that he killed was Weipel's son, who was doing his first drug run.
Yeah.
Case in point, or where they're going, drug war, turf war. So inadvertently, Nels has started a war between two different drug lords, and he was only trying to get revenge for his son.
Yes. Well, that's what happens, Crime doesn't pay.
No, it doesn't. So Nels now needs help. Santa didn't give him anything. He needs some help. So he goes to visit his brother. And his brother used to be in the gang, but he met a woman who was hilarious, by the way. You didn't find the wife hilarious?
She was okay.
She was so funny.
The only part was the only part I really laughed at when she told him not to sit in the one area.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, she thinks that Nels is a bad person, and the brother, whose name is Wingman, is like, no, this is my brother. He's like, no, she's not. No, he's not. No, really, he's my brother. Because she thinks that he's going back into life of crime, but he left that. He's now a Buddhist. And he tells his brother, look, you've gone as far up as you can. You can't do anything anymore. Like Viking is, he's protected.
Yeah.
So the only way to do something is if you hire a hitman.
Yeah.
And I know someone. So he puts him in touch with a hitman called the Eskimo. And when you're thinking the Eskimo, what are you thinking?
Like a cold...
Like a Native American assassin. That's what I'm thinking. So the next scene, we see the Eskimo walk into this cab that Nels is already in. And he's African American. Which is hilarious. We find out the reason he calls himself Eskimo, because only an Eskimo will be stupid enough to go live in a weather like that. Which is really funny. So they're in this Uber or this cab, and they're playing this music. And it's horrible music. So Eskimo's like, can you change the music? And the cab driver's like, what do you want? Anything but this. He
puts on Aqua.
Yeah. I'm a Barbie girl. It's so funny. And Eskimo's reaction, just deadpan. He turns to Nels and be like, take this out of his tip. Like, it's such a little writing, but it's so funny.
I don't know. That didn't do it for me. But to each their own.
So Nels pays him the 75% before, and then 25% he'll get after completion. But instead of going to kill Viking, Eskimo knocks on Viking's door and says, there's a hit on you. If you pay me $10,000, I will tell you who's got the hit on you. And he's like, his name is Coxman. And Viking doesn't think it's Nels Coxman. He thinks it's his brother who used to be in the gang. He's like, why would this guy want me dead? So instead of paying him the $10,000, or he does pay him the $10,000, but instead of letting him go, he basically says, that's not honorable. And he kills the Eskimo. And then all you see is, you don't see him do it. All you see is the blinds close, and then it's a black screen with Eskimo's name on it with the cross.
Yeah.
How did you not find that scene hilarious?
I didn't find didn't do it for me. The jokes weren't, for me, they kind of fell flat.
But it's just irony. It's ironic. Like, what you said, crime doesn't pay. You have this guy who's an assassin who was hired to do a job, and instead of doing it, try to double up on his money by giving up the other name.
Well, we all knew he wasn't going to live a long life if you're in crime anyways,
No,
right?
No, not at all. So Nels decides to do this up himself. By the way, Viking goes and kills the brother, and the brother just admits that he did it all because he knows.
He wants to protect his...
And technically, no, but it's his own fault. He gave him him Eskimo.
Yeah, Eskimo kind of...
Yeah, it's his own. It's the brother's fault. Give him a better hitman.
Yeah. Maybe he didn't think he could afford the good ones.
So Nels decides to do it himself. So he steals Viking's kid. And he brings him over, and the kid, again, just really good writing. The kid's like, loves this guy. He's like, do you know what Stockholm Syndrome is? They sleep together. It was so adorable.
Yeah, they became best friends.
And then he gets him in the snowplow, and he lets him drive him around. It's such a nice scene. So meanwhile, there's a turf war going on. So Viking, when he realizes that it was Coxman, he's like, oh my God, we need to make things right with Weipel. So his idea is to kill one of his lieutenants. shoots him right in the head. But the problem is the lieutenant that he shot was the gay lover of Mustang, his first lieutenant, like his number one
guy. So
so keep that in the back of your mind
we all know
because
what's gonna happen next.
There's something going on there.
Somebody's gonna get murdered.
So they cut off his head. They bring it to the natives. They bring it to White Bull, and another great scene. They knock on their hideout or wherever their headquarters is, and the guy stands there with this present, this huge rat present, says, "I'm the messenger." So he goes in, gives White Bull the gift, puts it on there. He sees the head. He's like, "This is the guy that killed your guy. He was taken care of. We still want the same deal." White Bull puts the gun under the table, shoots him. He shot the messenger.
Yeah. We always know the messenger's going to die.
So they decide that they're going to kill Viking's kid for retribution. Mm-hmm. The problem is, as they're about to do it, Nels has stolen the kid. So now they go to Kehoe to try to go find this kid.
They took Nelson's kid.
So they go to this resort town, or this resort in the town, the ski resort, and they go and they want to book a room.
And they just use racism to. That was a good joke.
That was great. So they're like, "Can we book a room?" And the lady's like, "I'm sorry, you need a reservation." And the native's like, "Are you telling me to go back to the reservation?"
Yeah.
And this poor woman is like, no, I didn't mean that. I'm so sorry. It just means you have to reserve. I mean, book. You have to book in advance. It's so funny. So that needless to say, they found them a room. So they all. In the end, they all find out where Nels is holding the boy, and they all go to his workshop, and there's a huge shootout. I think it's a pretty good shootout. It ends with everyone dying except for Nels and White Bull. Mm-hmm. And it's White Bull who kills Viking, not Nels, but Nels kind of traps him in his car.
Well, it was kind of a double tag team play, you know?
Yeah. So then Nels goes to leave in his snowplow, and White Bull kind of jumps in with him and points a gun at him and is like, there's no words that are spoken because the idea of this movie is like Nels isn't really that big of a talker. So they just spend all night together. And in fact, White Bull ends up falling asleep, and he wakes up to go grab his gun. He's like, okay, I don't need my gun.
Yeah.
This guy's good. And then they kind of driving off into the sunrise, except for one of the natives, when they were at the resort, went paragliding, and he fell right into the snowplow guy. Again,
that was stolen from Deadpool.
Yes, it was. But it was still really funny. So that's the movie. I loved it. I loved almost all of it. I loved it was an artsy movie. It was different. It wasn't really action. It looked good cinematically. I felt good watching it. It was humorful. We talked about even some of the things. We talked about the paragliding, the fantasy football, which there's more to that scene even, right? So there's three aspects to this fantasy football. So the first one, like we talked about, where he's like, loyalty is the most important thing. I'm taking my Browns. But a week later, he ended up taking Jets, and the Jets beat the Browns in the game, and he's cheering, and the son's like, what happened to loyalty now? And the guy's like, well, sometimes you can't be loyal. Mm-hmm. Well, when Mustang's boyfriend is killed, he's the one who tells the natives where Viking's going to be. Those scenes set everything up. So not only is it humorful, that adds humor, but it pushes the plot along too, which is brilliant. One thing we didn't really talk about is there are two cops in the town of Kehoe. One of them is played by Emmy Rossum. Her name is Kim, and then the older cop name is John, and kind of Emmy Rossum, this or Kim, she is like young, trying to figure out what's going on, really into this. She uses her ex-boyfriend to get information, but we also find out that John's kind of in on it, he's on Viking's payroll.
Yeah, he's on the payroll.
So he's kind of misleading Kim throughout the whole process. So there's some humor there. The brother's wife is funny. The janitor who kind of lets Viking know about where the sun is really funny too, because he asks, all he wants is like what, $1,000, and he'll give up the location. So instead of giving him the $1,000, Viking kills him.
Yeah,
And
we
again,
all knew
not
that was
off
happening.
screen. It's hilarious. There's one of the henchmen has this thing that he does that works. I think it was like 30% of the time or 40% of the time, where he, in order to get women to sleep with him, he would lie on his bed naked and put the service in hotels. So like the maids would come in and put like a $20 bill over his penis, and basically, if the maid could either come in, take the
And take
$20 and have some fun, or just close the door. But it was just when he does it, it's the natives that walk in and they just shoot him, and it's like a hole through the bill, so we know where he was shot. Just really funny.
That's a good way. I'm surprised he did not get arrested for that.
It's not like he said. What's he doing wrong? He's just putting $20. He's lying on his bed in his own room, naked, with a $20 bill. The maid could just close the door.
Yeah, I guess.
It's technically it is illegal, but like,
I guess, yeah.
It's not. He's not saying he'll pay you. It's just it's insinuated, right? But even like some of the fight scenes, they're funny. The last scene's brutal. The obituaries are really funny. Some of the death sequences are funny. Like there's not very much I do not like about this movie. Well,
Me, it kind of just felt slow. Kind of felt like a bootleg Guy Ritchie film. You know, I could see all the similar jokes that don't hit quite as hard as it would for a Guy Ritchie film. It just kind of, I just felt it was a good take. It's not terrible. I just felt it was a little long. The jokes weren't the greatest jokes, but it was a great concept, and I mean, I just probably wanted it written maybe a different way. I don't know. It's just,
I'm not gonna say it's perfect. There are two things I didn't necessarily love. Like, we didn't talk about the wife. So as Grace is having some problems, she eventually just leaves. But she leaves with just like an empty card and like everything cleaned out. Like there's like a card, like an envelope with a card in it, but there's nothing, like it's like a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper that's folded. So I didn't really understand it. Why did she leave? Why did she leave the note blank? She was the only character I found underdeveloped. But for me, it doesn't ruin the story. The story's not about her, and I could have cleaned up the ending a little bit more closure. It wasn't horrible, but like it could have cleaned up a little bit. So you said you thought this movie was like a Guy Ritchie film. I gotta say, I didn't think this movie was a Guy Ritchie film. I didn't even think this movie was like a Taken. The movie that I thought this movie represented was Fargo. You've never seen Fargo, have you?
no, I have not.
Well, Fargo is a classic movie, and Fargo, well, you would probably find slow, but it's got this very feel. It takes place in Fargo, North Dakota, in the middle of winter. So there's a lot of elements that you would find similar. It's about a woman a mother who was abducted, and like it's more on the police instead of more of a vigilante. But like in this movie, we see four stories, right? We have Nell's character and Liam Neeson. We have the villain Viking's character. We have White Bull's character and the cop's character. That's not really like what you'd see in Taken, right? Where it's more linear or any Liam Neeson movie. It's more one person. We're following that person.
Yeah.
This is a little bit different, where we're following all four stories and all four characters are being developed. So I think it's more like Fargo. And Fargo is a classic movie.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. The Guy Ritchie films are kind of similar that way. Like in terms of like Lock, Stocks, or 99 Barrels. It kind of reminds me of those kind of movies where they have certain different characters and they all kind of meet up at the end or something happens.
Well, it's not even about Fargo's not really about even
Like
meeting
that.
up at the end. It's more of a mystery. Like this there was a mystery element to it. There was a quote unquote twist in the movie, right? There were elements to the movie that were developed throughout it. I don't know if I'd call it. I call it more of a black comedy that's more of a mystery that we're trying to figure out together.
The mystery for Cold Pursuit?
Yeah.
What was the mystery for it?
Well, for the cops, what happened?
Oh, for in terms of the character's perspective.
Yeah, from the character perspective, it's kind of more
Okay.
mystery. They're trying to figure stuff out, right?
Okay.
Like Nels thinks his son. Well, they think his son OD'd. He's going to shoot himself because his son OD'd, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the aspect. There
Because he
is a
felt like he didn't know his son.
and then he's trying to figure out who did it, right? Like there is mystery elements to it. There's quote unquote an abduction in this movie, like there is in Fargo now, and they know right away that the son was dead. In Fargo, it's a little bit different, but there's a lot to it. I think you should watch Fargo. It's the Coen brothers that do it. It's their signature movie.
I just feel like they should have explained a little bit more, like the situation with the son and Viking, like what really happened.
The son didn't do anything. The son wasn't involved in any way.
But I
shape,
wanted
or
to know
form.
like what I wanted more in that, more into like why Dante did what he did, right, and why
He wanted money. It's clearly what he wanted.
Yeah, no, like,
And he was
why
a junkie.
how he integrated the son into it.
He did. The son was never into it.
No, like why they took the son too. That's what
Because
I
they both were working that night.
So they just took both of them
Yes.
and killed them?
Well, because if you think about it, that plane that landed, the son grabbed the briefcase, so they don't know the goons. They just see that they think they both are in on it. They don't know that it's just Dante. They assume that both of them are in on it, and they don't care. We know that Viking is ruthless and just kills anyone that gets in his way. So it wasn't established at the time, but the Viking we see throughout the movie, it's established that makes sense. He killed the janitor for helping him out. All the janitor did was give him Coxman, and he killed him.
Fair enough.
So, yeah. All right. So, believe it or not, this movie's a remake off a Norwegian film called In Order of Disappearance, which is by the same director. I know the answer to this question, I think, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Does this make you want to see the original Norwegian version?
No.
I kind of do, and I might actually. Is this Liam Neeson's best movie since Taken? Again, I know the answer to this question. For me, it is. For me, this is a top 10 Liam Neeson role. Like, he is fantastic in it. Like, I would go see this movie again in a heartbeat. And I know you think it's slow, but there are a lot of slow. It's that kind of movie, right? It needs to be slow.
It's okay to have a slow movie, but like I don't want to feel like it's slow for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I was very noticeable that it's slow. Like there's some movies where I'm like, oh. Like, I'd say The Godfather is slow, but I don't notice that it's slow, right?
Okay. All right, that's fair. So, is this Liam Neeson's best movie, do you think? Since Taken?
That's hard. I'd have to rethink about it, the movie. I wouldn't be able to answer right away. Right now, I'm saying no, but
Okay.
I'd have to, but I'm still thinking about it. It could be.
Is this an ambiguous ending to this movie? Is there an ambiguous ending to it?
I wouldn't think so. No.
Well, the question is, like, the cops did see Nels with the son, right? Will Nels be punished? Like, that would be the question that you would have at the end of it. Or is the fact that he was working all night, cleaning things, is there an alibi there? Like, his entire shop has been shot up.
Yeah. I don't...
Like, do you think Nels goes to jail for this?
Probably.
I don't think he does. So there is ambiguity to this ending.
I don't know. I don't think he went into it that far. The director looked into it that far to have like that kind of.
Do you think that if the ending was less ambiguous, you would have liked it more?
Maybe.
What would you have done to make the ending a little bit different? Like, how would you have ended it to make yourself be more content with the movie?
I would like right after the reason I didn't really like it that much as well is like just have one scene at the end with the cops being like, you know what, I know you did this, but after we uncovered the entire thing, you know what, I'll let you go for like I won't put you in.
So you just want one scene where there's like just a wink, like you're good.
Yeah,
that would make the movie better.
Someone to explain it. That wouldn't make the movie better. The jokes still aren't that good, but like.
You need a sense of humor, I think, is what you need. That movie is so funny.
I don't know about that.
All right, last question. What do you think of? What were your thoughts on the villain of this movie?
He was the worst. It
You
was
didn't
just
like
so
that character?
no.
Oh my god! How do you not like him? Like the health nut,
I
like the
like villains.
ruthlessness of
I
it.
usually root for the villains, but this villain was just so cringe. I just could not deal with him and his attitude, and it felt like he was trying too hard at times. It's just honestly that aspect. He's one of the reasons why the rating was a little bit what it is for
Oh,
me.
I really like this villain. I thought this villain was so well done. I thought the actor who plays him is Tom Bateman. I think that I want to see more from him. I thought he played him like he acted all tough, but like he wasn't tough, right? Like there was that aspect to it. Like I don't know. I thought it was really well done. All right, what are you giving this out of 10, Xavier?
I'm gonna give it a 6.
6. I'm going with an 8.5. Like I said, I really liked it. It was very good. Okay. All right, next movie, the Lego Movie 2. You want to start with opening thoughts on this one?
This one, uh me, I had the most negative opinions going into this movie. I thought after Lego Batman, I was like, I don't know. I think the magic was only caught once of what the Lego movie is, the original. Because I really, really liked the original. I want to say I'm so glad that I was wrong. Because it may be even better than the original movie for me. It's just the way the characters, just the message behind the movie, just the way it was written, like it was written pretty well for me.
I'm like you. I was so impressed by this movie. I thought it was a great sequel. I think other movies should take note of this movie because I don't think the initial movie was made to have a sequel.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was a movie that caught some lightning in a bottle. Like, whoa, I can't believe this was as good as it did. We create a cinematic universe with it.
Yeah, let's try it.
And they tried that with Batman. And they rushed it, and I think we saw what happened with it. Whereas this movie, it looked like they took a lot of time to delay it. Like the first movie came out in 2014. It's been 5 years. They developed this movie. They don't, and hopefully other movies take this. You don't just release a movie every year, i.e. Shrek. Because when you release one every 2 years, guess what happens? They get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
If you take some time and you develop a movie, you develop a plot, you work on it, it turns out to be really good. You can look at another movie that's had a sequel after a lot of time that came out last year, like The Incredibles 2. You give it some time, you develop your story, it becomes fantastic. I like the morals of this. This movie really followed that Disney model.
Yeah, that's what we'd say.
Or the Disney animated model, I should say. We see a moral that when kids go watch it, they're not going to see it. But as adults, like that, the movie's not about the movie. It's about a brother and the sister's relationship, and that's something that anyone who has siblings definitely can relate to. But even people who don't have siblings, I think you can really relate or resonate with this message.
It's all about sharing your toys.
We talk about Xavier talked about the writing of this movie. That there was a lot of metaphors in this movie that were fantastic. Some of like the interesting stuff, like our Momageddon is kind of what they're trying to stop. But it's like our mother, like get it instead of Armageddon, our mom. It's brilliant. Or Queen, whatever wannabe. Like I
want to be.
I'm Queen, whatever I want to be. And the music is just very well written. Like we'll get into some of this as we deep dive into it. But the Gotham City guys are not evil, or even the catchy song. They're just really well done. So I was really impressed, and I think. It way went over my expectations, like the first one did. I didn't think the first one was going to be very good.
Yeah, same. They did it twice. It was kind of, in all honesty, like when I expected Guardians 2, like I didn't think Guardians 2 didn't capture the same magic as the first Guardians.
Oh God, no, not even close.
Right, but this one did capture the same magic as the first Lego movie. It's very hard for sequels to do that, right? They just come out and then it doesn't have that special spark, right?
But you would probably find movies that come out 5 or in 10 years later that are sequels that have had time to develop their stories tend to be better.
Yeah.
Not always, I know.
Insurgents, Jurassic World.
Yeah, but those are...
Split.
Split's not a bad movie. A lot. It's not. It's not.
I mean, not Split, Glass. There you
Well,
go.
Glass is a sequel from last year's Split or 2 years ago Split. So like, yes, that is really rushed. And there's problems. It's not always. It's not. You're absolutely right. You found like two really good examples of movies that are delayed. Again, please don't make Top Gun 2.
Oh yeah, the Top Gun.
But I feel like if you give it some time and you've been in the works for it, like I feel like one day they woke up and said, "Let's make another Independence Day, and let's just kind of figure stuff out."
Yeah.
Whereas I think the difference between like Incredibles and the Lego movie is they start right where the last one ended. So it's not like they give it like one thing we talked about a lot with Glass is the problem was like the time just didn't work from like from the other movies.
Yeah.
Whereas when you start it right when the last one ended, and you can kind of do that with an animated movie, it just makes it a lot easier to believe and makes it a lot better of a movie. So as we deep dive into this, well, the movie, like I said, it begins right where the last one ended. So the last one ended with finding out that Will Ferrell's character is going to take a break, and the son can now play with all the Legos. But the daughter gets to come and play too. So the daughter is like what, 3 years old at the time,
yeah.
2-3 years old. So the movie begins with the Duplo coming into the world. And the first thing that everyone does is, oh my God, we're all going to die. But Emmett, Mr. Naive, he's like, he builds this heart and gives it to the Duplo. And the Duplo looks at the heart and like, oh my God, so nice. And then eats it, destroying the heart. And then it starts eating up the city and causing destruction.
I really like that part because it's going to plant a seed in the brother's head for the upcoming film.
Oh, absolutely. So, as the city's getting destroyed, the Earth, or the Lego world, is going to send their mightiest heroes. No, not the Avengers. They were booked. The Justice League to go figure out where these Duplo are coming from and save them. So we have Superman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman and the Flash. They get on this, and the Flash asks Wonder Woman, "Where's Batman?" And Wonder Woman's like, he's got his own standalone film. He's busy. And then they go to leave. But just before they leave, the Green Lantern comes. And like in the first movie, he's ridiculed. And like, oh, no.
The Green Lantern has taken the role of Aquaman now, I find.
I guess, because Aquaman ended up being good. Or, well, not being good, but...
being successful.
Successful, yeah. So they go, but they never come back. And then we get to 5 years later, and the wonderful universe that Will Ferrell's character had built is gone to hell, and now we are in Apocalypseburg because the apocalypse has happened. So it's kind of like a Mad Max feel.
Yeah.
Where everyone is depressed and everyone is hardened. People are getting tattoos and grit.
Tough.
But the movie the 5 years begins with Emmett, who has not lost his naiveness. So he goes to the only thing they have left for pleasure, the coffee house. And he buys 2 coffees. He puts on his earphones and plays the teen version of Everything is Awesome. And we have the song playing, Everything is Awesome, as he's walking around and everyone else is miserable. But he thinks everything is awesome.
I was in...
sorry. As he's doing that, he goes to see Lucy, who is at the top of like the Statue of Liberty at the highest point of Apocalypseburg, and she's giving the
monologue how everything is terrible.
Yes, and they're basically both trying to be she's trying to be like very dark, and he's like, oh, can I be dark? He's like, yeah, you have to think of the worst things you can possibly think of. And he thinks, and his worst things are like doves and things like that. So he's like, you're not really good at this. You need to be more hardened. We're in a dark universe. You need to grow up.
You need to be super tough.
You need to be tough. You need to be ruthless. It's like, well, it's easy for you. You've been like goth your entire life. And she's like,
yeah, I've been nice. I've been the believing. I love and hate.
Yeah. So he says, I have a surprise for you. And he built this house for her. And they go into this house and everything is great about this house. Mm-hmm. And she's like, why are you doing that? The Duplo are just going to come and destroy it. He's like, but, what does it matter? Like, he's a glass half full guy. we'll deal with that problem when we have it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, not the Duplo return, but something has returned. And we find out it's General Sweet Mayhem.
That just does not make it sound like for the plot that's...
Sweet Mayhem, baby. We know she's a villain and a half, right?
Yeah,
Sweet
she's
Mayhem.
definitely evil. If your name's General Mayhem, that doesn't sound like you're here for a picnic.
All she does is cause mayhem. Mm-hmm. She basically, there's a huge Lego fight sequence where she beats up a lot of things. Also, Batman is back, and he's like in this post-apocalyptic world as the leader.
Yeah.
And like he even gives this speech about how like I know I found love in my own like little one-off movie, but you know the writers had to have me be sad and alone and depressed. So they even wrote that in there.
I love how they wrote that in because a lot of movies do not do that. They just put them back into their state of mind, even though they had in the sequel.
Yeah.
They had their redemption, or they had to realize, right?
One of the things that sequels do horribly, but they embraced it. So. Sweet Mayhem steals Lucy, Batman, Benny, Metalbeard, and Unikitty, and puts them on their ship and takes them to a wedding. And apparently, the Queen is going to marry Batman, the leader. And Batman's like, "Nope, I am not marrying anyone. This bat does not get married."
Yeah, I'm a battlerer. How did he say it?
Yeah, I'm a bachelor. Batman is a bachelor. So Emmett decides he's going to go save Lucy, but no one else is going. They're like, no.
Helping him. It's like, you don't know what you're doing.
So he builds a ship and out of his old house and goes. So we meet the Queen, and she is hilarious. So Queen, whatever Wananabe. So she uses words that make her look really horrible. Like she says, you're going to be terrified. Terrific. Sorry, terrific. You're going to have a terrific time, not a terrifying time.
Just put "un" in front of every diabolical word as well.
Yeah. So like everyone's like not believing her. She's like, no, guys, I'm a good queen. So then she sings this song called Not Terrible. And it is, or Not Evil, sorry. And it is absolutely brilliant. It's up there with classic Disney music. Like, she's like, don't worry, I'm not one of those evil queens. There's no reason to be suspicious of me. I'm so not a villain. I have zero evil plans. I'll shower you with gifts. And he goes through each one of the people and says what gifts that she's going to give them. Because I'm selfless and sweet. I'm the least evil queen in history. And Lucy's like, even her metaphors are suspicious. But the entire song is like so punny. And it's just about how evil, like she's really evil. And as Xavier says, she's like, I'm unselfish and unevil. And Lucy's like, you're just putting "un" in front of all the words that describe you.
Oh, it was great. It was classic. I find it funny that kids' movies had better jokes than actual Cold Pursuit, but we're not going to get into
I was going to say What Men Want, but whatever.
That too.
But it's such a shady scene. And like the song is brilliant. I'm going to go get the song on iTunes as soon as we're done this podcast.
And it really, well, actually, I'll say it more when we get more dive into it.
So the Queen is going to convince through that song. She convinces 4 of the 5 characters. Like the 4 characters are like bought into the Queen, hook, line, and sinker. Yeah, she can't be evil. She's probably seen as rockets.
Yeah.
And Batman is convinced, but still doesn't want to marry her. But Lucy's like, no, not convinced. So she's going. So she tells her henchmen, go. Get them changed.
Get them changed for the wedding.
Yeah,
this one needs to change the most.
Yeah. So then we go back to Emmett, who is about to crash into some kind of asteroid, and meets Rex Dangervest and his ship full of velociraptors. And one thing I really like about Rex, when he's giving his character story, all of his characters that he like, all of his jobs that he's had, they're all Chris Pratt's jobs.
Roles in movies.
They're all the different roles that he's had in movies or in television. Like that's the jobs that he does. It's so again, it's inside joke. That's what a lot of this movie is. It's a lot of inside jokes or cultural references that if you're up to date on it, you have to love this movie because it's so clever.
I'd say Easter eggs. There are a lot of Easter egg jokes.
Tons of them. So Rex pretty much says that you need to harden your heart. You need to become more tough.
I feel like it was more Emmett that was expired. Like he was kind of. I feel he was like, "Hey, you can teach me how to be tough because he likes me. He can teach me."
Yeah.
And then that's when he starts to tell him, "Hey, Emmett, you need to be tough. You need to be hard."
And Emmett begins to emulate this. Mm-hmm. So they go looking for all of their friends, and when they get to this world, they meet all of the people that used to live in their home that have been taken by the Duplo, including our superheroes. No, again, not the Marvel superheroes because they're off fighting, Thanos, but the Justice League ones. And we see Superman. He's kind of mowing his lawn, and the Green Lantern's like all buddies with him. Lex Luthor is like his best friend.
Yeah, he's like, hey,
as his
Superman.
General Zod, and they're like, but you've been brainwashed. You're supposed to hate each other. Mm-hmm. And no, we're all happy now. So they all, as this is going on,
glitter.
They all have glitter on them. They look like they've been gone through the ringer.
Yeah,
and we get this idea. We go back to with Lucy and the gang. They're being brainwashed by this song. It's called the Catchy Song, and the idea is this song will get stuck in your head. They just keep saying, this song will get stuck in your head. This song will get stuck in your head. I love
that song. It was brilliant.
Again, it's just and we're seeing it in both sequences. We're seeing it with Emmett and we're seeing it with Lucy. But Lucy puts on the earmuff so she can't hear it, and she escapes through the vents where she sees Bruce Willis, who's actually played by Bruce Willis. Is like, I always live in vents. Die Hard Easter egg, right? Brilliant.
Even then, she's like, "You're bald. You look like Bruce Willis." No, can't be. That was a great line too. I loved it.
And then Emmett uses his new skill as Master Destroyer. So instead of Master Builder, he's a Master Breaker. Yeah. So he breaks through this Earth and kind of escapes with Rex. So now all the characters have been brainwashed. Lucy ends up finding Emmett. They're going to try to save all of their friends. So they come up with this plan to save Emmett. Sorry, to save all their friends, to destroy the wedding. And as this is going on, Batman, the only part of the plan that needs to be fixed is Batman needs to be convinced to marry
Queen Watanabe.
Yeah. So Batman says, "I refuse. I am a bachelor. So I'll never do it." And the Queen's idea is, I'm going to use reverse psychology. So she sings the song "Gotham City Guys," which is brilliant. And she pretty much says, "Yeah, Batman or men like Batman, you're not my type.
I like guys like Superman.
Yeah.
I like a Clark Kent."
Yeah, she's like, I ain't no Selena Kyle. I ain't no Vicky Vale. I'm never into I was never into you even when you were Christian Bale.
That was great.
And then she's like, I'm not into guys who can't fly. She's like, I can fly. No, the Batwing can fly. Kryptonians are more of my kryptonite.
Oh man, that was great. Just even the way the song was.
And Batman's like, gross. And then Batman says, "Okay, we have Affleck level hot. We're Oprah level rich. We have Clooney level charm and Kilmer level lips." It's just brilliant. And then it goes on. I'm a self-made man. I don't get my powers from the sun.
Oh, that was great too.
So from like some aliens do, but it's just so well written. It's so funny. Go on YouTube and listen to this song because it is hilarious. It's so well written.
It's out on YouTube already.
I was listening to get some of the lines just before we were going, but both of the songs because the soundtrack's out, right?
Oh, okay.
So go listen to it on YouTube. Go download the album. It is a must. It's up there with any great Disney song. So the song ends with him proposing. And she's like, can we get wed in 15 minutes? She's like, give me 25 to get ready. So like they go through the wedding. So the wedding happens and we get the twist. So or the twist of the movie. So everyone has their role. Emmett's role is to destroy the wedding, and Lucy's role is to take down the shield. So as she's trying to take down the shield, she runs into to General Mayhem, and they fight. And we eventually find out that General Mayhem is actually a sweet
little like lollipop.
Yeah, and she's actually the good guy.
Yeah,
and that the bad guy is actually Emmett.
Yeah,
the twist. It's like, but you're attacking us. No, we're trying to act like this because we think that's what we how you talk. So we're trying to talk like you. We're trying to unite the kingdoms. That's what the whole wedding's about, to unite everyone. And they go to the wedding where you see like everyone. It's like all peaceful, not post-apocalyptic at all.
And then it was funny. He's like, "You guys aren't brainwashed. You're just happy."
Yeah.
that was the great thing, right? And this is what I wanted to say. I really like that aspect about him, that they made it like I thought the entire time that she was evil and no one really realized, and I thought that was just going to be a joke the entire time, but it actually ended up being a twist. So that really, I didn't expect it like that. I was like, oh, whoa, that was really good.
Yeah, the Queen actually was good. The song wasn't, even though it sounded shady, it wasn't shady at all. So Emmett ends up breaking and destroys the wedding, and we find out that the Momageddon is actually because the brother and the sister have been fighting. So the two worlds are the brother and the sister is actually trying to just play with the brother, right? So when she was younger, she didn't understand that heart was a gift. And now as she's older, she's like 6, 7, or 8, depends on how old she was in the first one. But she now understands. She wants to play with her brother. She can actually build Lego instead of Duplo.
Yeah, right. But the brother didn't really understand because that was after the one time she destroyed everything.
We find out that Queen, whatever you want to be, is actually the heart
that Emmett made, the original heart.
So. That the brother made, right?
Yeah.
It was the brother made it for the sister, like, let's work together. But this sister was too young to understand, and now she's trying to marry Batman to the heart to kind of illustrate that, look, like let's
play
merge
together.
our things. But the brother doesn't understand this. So when Emmett breaks, or when the brother breaks the wedding, and the kid gets into the fight, or the kids get into a fight again, the mom comes in and says, all right, the Legos go into storage. We're done with this. So all the Legos go into storage. We get the end credit. Like, it's over, and like you just hear this like, no, this is not going to end. We are not ending right here. This is going to be a happy ending, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, this is... spoiler alert for the Avengers, but we're not gonna Infinity War this
or anything, right? Or we're not ending on a climax. It could be any, like, a lot of sequels that end on
sequels just end on climaxes,
right? Because they're like The Matrix or the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie, right? Just to name two. So the brother ends up seeing the heart and realizing, oh my God, my sister, what she was trying to do. So he goes to her room, sits on the bed, and gives the heart back, and they start playing together, and everything is good. We also find out that Rex is actually Emmett from the future. That apparently at some point Rex or Emmett got sent under the dryer and just sat there for years, days. We don't really get an idea. And then he kind of finally gets his way out. And then takes the time machine from the time machine, DeLorean, the TARDIS, and builds his own time machine. Gets the Velociraptors, and then trains them to be his crew,
a la Jurassic World.
Yeah, right there. And then goes to saves Emmett, and does this thing. And then Lucy kind of saves him from Rex. Rex, Back to the Future's himself out.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of the movie. But I will say that's one of my dislikes of the movie. I don't like the character Rex because it doesn't make any sense. Like, the whole aspect of the movie is that the humans control the Legos. But if Emmett actually fell under the dryer, it's because a human put him under the dryer. Like, the Legos don't actually move.
I thought this one was like when he moved himself, like he got enough power to become sentient and then move himself, and that's what happened.
I said I don't like that.
Or
It's not,
maybe,
but it's not a fantasy. Even though it's got fantasy elements too, it's not a fantasy movie, right? It's
yeah,
like even when like Lucy's talking, like when she's on her own and she kind of sees the girl and talking to the girl, don't put me away. The girl doesn't hear her.
yeah. But I feel like that one was okay. So that one, like, yeah, I can tell why you wouldn't like that part. That one was a little like, that was the iffy writing for me. But it does happen where I'll be playing with my Legos and I crash them into each other, and then they go flying, and then I lose a piece because it went flying. I didn't catch it; it went underneath.
Well, absolutely,
car.
but to have the Lego move on its own, I don't.
Yeah, that one was weird.
I don't
to
like
me
that,
too.
and that was the all of Rex's character is about that, right? He goes to where the paint is. He paints it on his beard. He changes his
Yeah.
like. If the brother had done that, that would have been okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like that. I thought that in a lot of ways that Lucy was the sister and Emmett was the brother, and a lot, or Rex was the brother, but they don't really do a good job explaining it.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that a lot of that Rex character in the end wasn't explained enough to me, and I think that's my biggest criticism of the movie. A lot of it, even that sequence where somehow, even though that they were in the ship together when the brother left, Emmett falls under the dryer because Rex throws him under the dryer with like
he launches
him. How does that happen?
See, that's the one where I think because he's sentient, he launched him himself.
But again, they're not sentient. Like the Legos are. I never got the impression in the first movie or in this movie that the Legos are sentient.
Did he move? Did Emmett move in the first one? I kept trying to remember. I think he did something where he moved a little bit in the first film.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Because that's why I was like a little bit okay with it, because I think I saw it before.
Way too much though in this one. Not a huge criticism, just something that didn't sit right with me, and it kind of, it was just like
That's very fair. That's something I didn't really like. I still liked Rex's character, but I didn't like the aspect of them moving around.
I think it would have been better if Rex was more like the brother, right? Like if the brother had been in control of him. But again, the future aspect to it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work in the world that they created, and I do think that that's really important to stay in the world that you create. But
they even mentioned that though, like, how does that make, like, why does it make sense? Just go with it. It's gonna work anyways. These time things never work. Which I know that they kept that because a lot of movies where they introduce time elements like Flash and i.e. Days of Future Past, sometimes it doesn't work, right?
doesn't.
So
Yeah. Okay. So I have a question for you, because we both agree that neither one of us liked the Lego Batman movie. Why do you think it was such a failure and the two Lego movies were successes?
I find, I realized what the problem with the Lego Batman movie was. I feel like it didn't have a real world element. The characters, Batman already has such an established backstory, right? And they didn't totally follow the whole Batman backstory. It was the jokes, they're while funny, they don't really match the theme of Batman as well, right? I find with the Lego movie, they have a little bit more that they can do with. Obviously, the live characters are a factor as well.
I do think there's a lot to be said about that, whereas there's more real world issues that the Lego movies deal with, right?
Yeah.
Family relations, brother and sister, father son, things that adults can relate to. Whereas the Batman movies, it's like villains and heroes can need each other.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? No, because Batman's too established for that. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that was. I think I think the Lego Batman movie was flawed from the beginning. At least the way they chose to go about it.
Yeah, because I was very excited for the Lego Batman.
So was I. I thought the Lego Batman movie was going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, after the first Lego movie. So then the Lego Batman movie made me have a bad taste for Lego Movie 2.
Yeah.
And then Lego Movie 2 was like, okay, so this is why.
I think you're absolutely right about that. But I don't think the Lego Batman movie could have been realistic for the way they wrote it.
Yeah. I don't know how they added a realistic element to it, right?
Yeah.
For a real world.
Because the movie is Batman. It's a Batman movie.
It's no need for like...
You'd have to make it into a different family, right? It can't be the same Batman. It has to be a different Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. What's your favorite song from this movie?
I think my favorite song... Well, that's good. It might be Gotham City, guys.
I think so, too. It was tough, though, because Not Evil is so good, too.
Yeah.
All right. First one or the second, which one do you like better?
I keep thinking I need to rewatch the first one again to compare to the second one, because right now I have that syndrome where new is better. So I'm going to go, this is the second one right now. But I have to rewatch the first one and really think about it.
The second one made me a little bit more emotional. I'm going to go with the second one. Like, when the brother has the realization about with the sister, like, I was like, okay, that's good. Okay, I understand. I can relate more with this one. I really like this one a lot better. And the music, again, like you can't underestimate there is no Gotham City guys in the first one. I mean, Everything's Awesome is fantastic, but we have this in that. Everything is Awesome is in this movie too. Yeah. Which is why I'm going to say that Everything is Awesome is like the franchise song. Doesn't go to just one movie, but this one is way better music.
Yeah, 100%. I was like, I'm not gonna lie. At first, when I saw that it was a musical, I was kind of like, oh, they're gonna do musicals, and I wasn't totally on board. But then I was like, actually, this is really good. When I thought about it, see, like I feel like the Lego Movie 2 really upped my expectations. Right, it exceeded my expectations by a mile.
All right, what would you give this out of 10?
I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. I'm gonna go 8.5. And I have a lot of my problems deal with Rex. That's why I couldn't give it that 90. But a high 8.5.
A high 8.5.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was great. This is the number one movie of the year for a while, maybe 2 weeks.
I don't know. I still it's tough between this and Cold Pursuit. I don't know. It's really tough. I think Cold Pursuit a little bit more, but it's really close. It's really close between those two. But it's a good week for movies.
Yeah, it's been, I'd say, for us, I'd feel like box office, it was kind of hit and miss. It was a decent week for me.
I don't care about the box office. People like what they like. They went to go see Aquaman.
I meant as in what was out in the box office, not as in the box out. Like
the three movies that I saw, I technically saw 4 because I saw They Shall Not Grow Old, World War I documentary as well. I was impressed by all of them. I was really happy with the theater. I'm trying to remember the last time I was really happy with movies, and I don't remember.
Ooh.
Like, think about it. Like, does it go back to like Wreck-It Ralph 2?
It might
like
be.
think of like the podcast we've done for this. Like, what was Vice was good, but like that was one movie. Like when you had a twofer, 2 good movies.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
So, and I think there's 3. So we'll see. I think I have hope for next week too, but we'll talk about that after.
Yeah, we will see.
Right. So we are going to go to the vault, and we are going to, Thursday is Valentine's Day, so we are going to.
Love is in the air.
We're going to talk about one of the most romantic movies of all time.
A pure classic.
Pure classic.
My most favorite romance rom-drom of all time.
The Notebook. What are your opening thoughts on The Notebook?
This movie, funniest story about this. So I saw this in a religion class.
For the first time?
For the first time I watched this was in religion. And I really liked this movie. And I just kept it a secret because I didn't want anybody to know. And then one time I went to my buddy. I'm like, you know what? I really like the movie The Notebook. And he's like, yeah, me too. And I'm like, what? I thought it was like, I had that stigma where like, oh, guys have to like these tough films and everything like that. And then you're like,
baloney
you can like
to
whatever
that.
you want to like.
Baloney. I would never. I love the Gilmore Girls, okay? I am proud to say it. Anyone who's listening, Michael Futurelli loves the Gilmore Girls.
I've never
except for A Year in the Life. That does not count.
I've never watched an episode, but
you should. You'd love it.
I don't know about that.
Watch the first episode. I guarantee it.
My ex and I tried to watch Pretty Little Liars, and that was...
No. Okay, why are you talking about Pretty Little Liars? We're talking about the Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
You like the Notebook? You like the Gilmore Girls?
Okay, fair enough. I'll give it a try.
Probably not, but I don't know. But anyway, opening thoughts on the Notebook. You told your friend you liked it.
Yeah. So the reason why I liked it is, I just really like this story. Everyone always says it's so sad, but for me, I don't think it was sad. I think it was just happy that they, at the end, like his whole mission was just to get her to remember her because of the story, right? He tells them their story of them falling in love, like every time she loses her memory, and then by the time they pass away together, she remembers them and they die happily ever after. Because my biggest fear is not death; it's having Alzheimer's where I forget anything. Because like, yeah, you can live a long life, but as long as you have those memories, right?
Yep.
If you have Alzheimer's, you don't really remember who you are, and that's just scary to me.
I never really looked at it as a sad movie. I'm with you. I never teared up or got really emotional like in a sad way as I do with like one of Nicholas Sparks' other movies, like A Walk to Remember. Like that one gets me.
Yeah, that one's sad.
But there is happiness. I mean, it's a sad ending, and it's a rom-dram. This is a rom-dram. Rom-drams do not end happily ever after. Yeah, sure, they had their life together, but they end with death in this movie.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I was really glad I got to rewatch it. I think it's aged very well because it came out in 2004.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think it's re-aged really well over the last 15 years ago.
My most favorite actors.
Oh, you can't start talking about The Notebook unless you start talking about Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling.
Yeah. They were just great in these roles.
You know, it's funny, like, you hear, like, how Ryan Gosling, at the beginning of the filming, tried to get Rachel McAdams replaced because, like, he couldn't stand her.
Yeah.
And the director put them in a room together and said, figure it out. And they did. They ended up dating after. You could see their chemistry is real. Like, you can't fake that. Like, it was so good.
And the fact that that they had that issue and figured it out, that's what made that movie so real. Like you said, the chemistry was amazing. You can see, like, some of the aspects, right? Like, sometimes he just gets on his nerves.
They weren't perfect matches. Like, they always yelled. They couldn't agree. They weren't perfect matches. They didn't agree on anything. But they loved each other, right? And that's kind of all you need. Like, all you need is love, to quote John Lennon. Yeah. But I'm a sucker for a good love story. You know what? I don't care what anyone says. Like, it's, I'm an old school person. I believe in love at first sight. 100% believe in it.
I don't know about that. But...
That's what this movie's all about. Don't you? Okay, how about this? Do you want to believe in love at first sight?
Oh, I'd love to. It'd be great.
Perfect. So at least you can agree with that aspect to it. And you know what? We talked about the acting. The humor that's throughout this movie is really good. I love the character development. Obviously this story is not taking place in the time of Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling. It's taking place in a more modern time. Yeah. With the parents, right? Or not with the parents, with them as the elderly.
Yeah.
I don't and will not understand people that say that this is too overdone. Like, a lot of, like, I've heard over the years or read reviews over the years. Like, this movie is not over 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, and most of the comments are, it's overdone. It's this. I can't see how people say that. To me, it's a great love story.
I feel like is more. Some people when I tell them I love The Notebook, they're like, oh, it's creepy, it's blah, blah, blah. The guy's a psychopath if you really think about it. He didn't truly... I guess it's more society has this way of seeing the negative in things, right? They don't want to see that. I guess people love just dark. Everything just has to be dark.
I don't get it. And 2004, we're still at that time where darkness takes over. But so the movie begins with Duke, James Gardner's character, or old. Oh my God, what's his name?
Ryan Gosling?
No, Noah. Old Noah. Thank you.
Old Noah. Okay.
Duh. Old Noah. And he gives this voiceover how he's no one special. He's going to die soon. He's going to be forgotten. The one thing he's done is loved another person with all of his heart. And then he visits his patient with Alzheimer's that we are going to presume is Allie.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells her a story. And the story begins with Noah Calhoun meeting Allie Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
A wonderful story. It's at a carnival. And like you don't believe in, but I do, Noah looks at Allie Hamilton and love at first sight.
Yeah. He's like, that's the one.
So he asks Allie to dance. She's like, nope, I'm with other people. See you later. So she goes on a Ferris wheel, and Noah jumps on the Ferris wheel and sits beside Allie and her presumable date. And the guy who's running the Ferris wheel says, you can only have two to a seat. So he stops him at the top, which is hilarious. And Noah's like, okay. And he gets off and he holds on. And he's like, if you don't go out with me, I'm going to let go. And Allie finally is like, oh, fine, I'll go out with you. Mm-hmm. So she pulls his pants down as he's holding on. Again, just a brilliant scene. It's humorous. It's funny. Mm-hmm. It's creepy in some ways, but it's the 1930s.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
People didn't.
It's the middle of the Depression. It's toward the end of the Depression. They're in South Carolina. It makes sense. So he sees her at the street, and she rejects him and says, "No, I'm not going on a date with you. I just did it because I didn't want you to jump to your death." Mm-hmm. But you can see the chemistry immediately, right? Like she's flirting with him as she says no.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, he's very charming to her.
Yeah, I'll be whatever you want me to be. Mm-hmm. Like, you want me to be whatever. And he says, I'm not normally like this. So we get this idea that he's really in love.
Yeah, he's acting like his crazy pan. Like, love makes people do crazy things.
It does, doesn't it? So anyways, Allie gets tricked into going to a movie with him by Noah's friend Finn and his girl. So they go see this movie, and after the movie, he basically says, let me walk you home.
Yeah.
So they go for a walk, and we find out Allie's life is really busy. She does French tutoring, Latin tutoring. She has dance tutors, piano tutors, math tutors. She has tennis lessons. Mm-hmm. And
typical rich girl. She's super rich. Her family comes from... are they plantation owners or?
I don't know. We don't know where they made their money, but they live in the city, so I don't know what they are.
Noah's a farm boy.
Yeah, and it works at a lumber mill, right? Mm-hmm. Good with his hands, but she's very family oriented, though. We know this, right? She's very family oriented, makes decisions with the family, but she loves to paint. That's her vice. So they lie down in the street to watch the lights change color. And it's basically, he's like to her, you need to learn how to trust. And they do some dancing in the street, and then it's love, right? Mm-hmm. They spend the entire summer together, and we call this I like the scene with the dad, where the dad embarrasses him. When he first brings Allie home, and she's like, you used to have a stutter, and this and that.
Yeah,
I like that.
It was great.
But like they say, this is an improbable romance, right? It's a country boy and a rich girl. They rarely agree on everything. It's poor and rich. They fought all the time, but he's like we see when he's teaching her how to drive. But they're crazy about each other. So they fight, but it's not like a physical. It's just like it's a passionate fight because they're both passionate people.
It's like old people, like the old couples.
They're an old married couple.
Bicker,
they're an old married couple.
They bicker like an old married
because
couple
they love at first sight. Mm-hmm. So eventually, Noah meets Allie's parents. And they go to dinner. And at this dinner, I don't know did you notice what he was wearing compared to everyone else?
No, I didn't.
Everyone at that dinner table is wearing white except for Noah. You know what he's wearing?
He's wearing black.
He's wearing black.
Because he's the black sheep.
The black sheep, the poor guy at a rich man's table. So they're all millionaires, and Noah works at this lumber yard. And we know the mom her mom hates him. From day one. Yeah. Like, from the moment she meets him. He's poor. He's a lumberman. Tells Noah that Allie is going to New York to study at Sarah Lawrence. And tells the father that he's trouble. This boy is trouble.
Yeah, he no good for my daughter. My daughter deserves better.
So the two of them go to this Windsor plantation, which was built in 1772, and we find out Francis Marion proposed to his wife on these stairs. Now, do you know who Francis Marion is?
No, I do not.
I didn't think you did. I bet you most of our listeners won't either. Francis Marion was known as the Swamp Fox during the American Revolution. You might know him better as Mr. Martin, Mel Gibson's character from The Patriot.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Francis Marion. That's who he's based off of.
Oh, my goodness.
No?
That's crazy. See, this is what you get an education and you get to learn about if movies suck or not. What a great podcast.
I know, right? History. Anyways, I was just a side note because I'm a history geek. But so Noah tells
Get outta
Allie
here,
he's going to
nerd.
buy this place. This is my dream home. And that starts describing what he's going to do to it. And Allie's like, wait a minute. Don't I get a say? And Noah's like, do you want one? And she's like, yes. And I want a what? I want my house to be white. I want shutters. I want a paint room. I want a big porch that goes around the whole house. And they promise. He promises her that he will do that.
Yeah, he promises her that home.
And then this is supposed to be
love
their
this part.
first night together. And like they each take off a piece of clothing. Like you can tell they're so nervous.
Yeah.
So adorable. And then Finn comes running in and says, Allie's parents have called the police.
And you're like, oh.
So they run back to Allie's house. And, you know, clearly the parents are sick of Noah. And the mom pretty much says, he's trash.
Yeah, gives the ultimatum.
And you're not to see him anymore. And, you know, Noah overhears all this. And Noah decides he's going to leave. You know, he says he wants her to go to school. He doesn't want her to stay with him. He wants her to have a good life. He wants her to... This is very honorable. This is the right thing to do, right? So he kind of breaks up with her. Like, or let's see how the summer is and we'll make our decision there. And she's like, no, I'm going to break up with you. So he leaves. And, you know, what do you think of that? Like, what did you think of him leaving, him making that decision?
Honestly, I feel like that was one of the purest forms of love.
It is.
It's most people are selfish, but if you truly love that person, you have to let them go and become the best person. You can't hold them. He realized that he would be a roadblock into what her success would be.
Absolutely. And you know, and they're both stubborn, right? We get this idea. So when he leaves, the next day her parents leave right away.
Yeah.
So she gets to go to the lumber mill looking for him, but he's gone off. And Finn basically says, like, we talked all night and it's over kind of thing. She's like, just please tell him that I'm sorry, that I love him. And then when Noah comes back, he goes to her house, right, to see, but he's too late.
Yeah.
And then he writes her a letter every day for 1 full year. 1 a day. And she would take him back in a heartbeat, and they would have a long-distance relationship.
But who gets in the way?
Mom takes every letter.
Hides it.
Pardon my French, but is Mom a bitch?
Well, we've learned in the movie that she's bitter.
She is bitter.
Get what she kind of, you know, she just was mad because she didn't follow what her love was. She stuck to the thing, and I think she was kind of miserable for it. And she saw her daughter. She's like, I don't want my daughter. Do you feel like, did you want her daughter to be happy?
I don't know. And you know, I want to save this question for the end because I have a question about the mom, but I want to get to the end when we know the kind of the twist with what happened with Mom.
Okay, fair enough.
But she's a bad person, right? Like, she's not nice.
Yeah.
But I found Dad was more supportive, which I felt it was like when I first watched the movie, I would have expected it to be the other way.
Yeah, same.
To be Dad be like, you ain't marrying no country hick.
Yeah.
And Mom's like, come on, let her do what she wants. Like,
yeah,
but it's the opposite. Like, even like, because he meets Dad, even Dad doesn't really care. Dad seems to be like, no, I want me to be happy.
Guy. I just want him to treat my daughter right.
Yeah, I want my daughter to be happy. Like, that's the vibe I got from Dad through the first half of the movie when we saw Dad.
Yeah.
So either way, Allie doesn't get a letter, and after the 365th letter, the last letter, he says his final piece, says, I'm moving on. And he moves to Atlanta, and he becomes a worker, and this is 1941, and Pearl Harbor just happens, and he joins the army, him and Finn. And they go into Africa chasing the Rommel, and then they go to Europe, and Finn dies. At the same time, we find out Allie is volunteering as a nurse in New York, and she meets a soldier that's kind of like a full body cast.
Yeah. He's like, if you don't mind, I'd like to take you out one day.
And he's like, you get better first. And then he gets better and shows up. So this is a Lon, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of name is Lon?
I have no idea.
I know.
It's a weird. It was the 1940s.
And this is a perfect match because Lon is charming and sophisticated from old Southern money.
Yeah.
Guess who loves Lon?
The mother.
Yep. And they get engaged. When the war ends, Noah returns home, and we find out the dad has sold his house so that with his money that he earned in the army and the money from the house, they can buy that Windsor plantation. Mm-hmm. And Noah uses it to get the material or to turn it into the house of his dreams. And when he's getting the materials in Charlestown, he runs into
Allie.
And he goes chasing her. And he runs into the restaurant she's in. And he sees her kissing another man. Sad and depressed, he throws his entire world into building this house.
Yeah. The house that she wanted.
Heartbroken. He even says he even went a little mad. Mm-hmm. His dad ends up dying, but he grows this beard.
He just becomes the man of all men.
Yeah, but he finishes this house. Mm-hmm. He finishes this house. And then he's like, you know what? I don't want to live here. So he puts the house on the market. Mm-hmm. But he won't sell it. Either he gets too little money, too much money, the right amount. It doesn't matter. He's not selling this house.
He doesn't want to sell the house because we know the real reason why.
Yeah, it's Allie's house. Mm-hmm. But whatchamacallit, when the house is finished, his picture goes into the paper. Mm-hmm. Because this is a historic house, right? The mm-hmm. Swamp Fox lived here. Mm-hmm. Francis Marion. And Allie, who gets the newspapers, while she's buying her wedding dress, looks through the newspapers and sees Noah has completed the house, the white house that she always wanted with the same shutters, mm-hmm. and she faints. And then she's taking a bath and deciding what to do.
Yeah.
And she realizes that, as she stares at this picture of Noah, that she doesn't paint anymore. And she decides she's going to go see Noah to get some closure. So she tells her fiance that, you know what? I don't paint anymore. I'm going to start doing that. But I need some time. And I was very surprised. He was very supportive.
Yeah, see, he's the kind of guy that you can tell he really loved Allie as well, which was the sad part, right?
Yeah.
Those guys, when you love her, sometimes they come back. Sometimes they don't.
Mm-hmm. So Allie returns to Seabrook, goes to visit Noah, and says, Hey Noah, I saw your picture. And Noah's just like he saw a ghost. Yeah. Just deadpan, perfect. It's a perfect scene. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to see if you were okay, kind of thing. And Noah, again, shocked, not looking, not saying anything. So she's like, you know what? This is a mistake. She gets in her car and tries to drive away and just goes into the ditch a little bit, or into the fence, sorry. And then Noah just walks over to the window and she's like, I'm a stupid woman. And she's like, Noah's like, do you want to come in? She's like, okay. I think that scene's priceless.
No, it's great. I love that. And
the deadpan look is, do you want to come in?
Yeah,
okay.
It's like that's how you would react, right? It's the girl of your dreams, and the girl that you loved, and you haven't seen her in years, and you thought it was all over, but she comes to your house, you're like, what's going on here?
And that was the thing he always said. If the one thing he said, if he finished that house, somehow she would come back. It would pull her in, and he was right.
Yeah,
so good. So then we go back to the real world, and we find out that the old lady is actually Miss Hamilton, or Allie Hamilton. And we already knew that, and we now know she's got dementia, and we meet his children, Duke's children, and the one grandchild. And the kids are trying to get the dad, Duke, to go home, and he says, no, that's my sweetheart in there. I'm staying with her. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that? What do you think of the kid scene? Because this is the only scene these kids are in.
Yeah. Honestly, it gets to the time, I don't want to get into this, but the seniors aren't really treated as well as. Like, like a lot of kids, they forget how much their parents have sacrificed for them, and then they just ship them off to a senior's home and like, she's gone, but you're okay. Why don't you hang out with us, right?
See, I'm with the kids on this one. Like, she doesn't remember. She is gone. Like, or don't not go visit her anymore. But you have a grandchild. Like, go spend your time with your family.
Your family is the end, right?
So I don't know. I'm torn between this because he shut out There's more than just her. Like, that's true love and it's great. But your children and your grandchildren are part of your life too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's not being shipped off to a home, Xavier. She's got dementia. She needs to be in that hospital. She doesn't remember anybody.
That's true. Fair enough. It's just, I feel like he loves her.
I know it's
more than
completely wrong,
anything else, right?
and that's what we're supposed, and that's why he doesn't, right? So then we go back to the past, and they've reconnected. They talk about Lon. They have dinner together. They spend their time talking at the porch. And he's like, "You want to come back tomorrow?" And she's like, "Yeah, I want to come back tomorrow."
You know what that means?
Yeah. So they
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
the next day, like, she comes back, and then we get this canoe scene. That's what probably the most iconic scene in the movie, where they're in this canoe.
I love that scene.
Oh, it's so beautiful. The swans, it's fantastic. And then the rain starts coming.
Yeah.
And they get soaked. And when he's putting the canoe back on and she's walking away, she turns around and says, "Why didn't you write to me?" And he's like, "I wrote to you every day."
Yeah.
And then they make love.
Wait. I'll make love to you like you want me to, and I hold you tight, baby, all through the night. Okay, I'll stop. Sorry, fans. Yeah,
But angrily, she asked him, "How you? I waited 7 years for you." And he's like, 365 letters I wrote you," and she's like, "It's over." She's like, It's not over." They kiss, they make love, they do all of that. And then the next morning, she sees that there's a paint room. She starts painting, and then the door knocks, and her mom comes to the house.
Yes. Uh-oh.
So, and Allie's wearing just a cloth. She's naked. So mom knows. Again, it's
knows
good.
Something freaky happened.
Yeah. So the first thing she asks him, "Is it true? Did he write letters?" And she's like, Mom admits to it. All right, he wrote letters. She says sorry, and Mom tells Allie that 25 years ago she was also in love. She drives him to meet to show she can show her daughter the person that she loved. So, and I gotta be honest, this is probably my biggest criticism of the movie. So why do we get this now? Why did she wait all this time? Like, is Mom vindictive? I never understood that. Why not just be like, so it makes more of a reason why she would be the one to support Allie and the dad would be the one not to support Allie.
Yeah.
Anyway, then she gives Allie the letter and says to make the right choice. So this is the question. Did you understand what the right choice was?
The right choice?
Yeah, she says, "I hope you make the right choice." Well, I just want to know what the right choice was.
I think her right choice was, it was Lane.
You think it was Lon?
Lon. Sorry, I called him Lane.
I thought it was going to be make the right choice, make what I couldn't do. I thought it was Noah. But the problem is we never got the mom again. The mom never came into another scene to tell us.
Yeah, for me, I thought it was Lane because she's like, hey, her argument was, yeah, I really love this guy, but I still love your father, and it gave us you, so you can still have a good life. Like, this is...
Yeah, that there absolutely it could definitely be that. Okay. So they get into this huge fight when she gets back because she's going to go back to her hotel to think because Allie tells Noah that Lon's back, and she's like, "You don't leave. Like, what we have is special," and the argument they have is for Noah is what I say is irrelevant. You have to do what your heart is. Don't worry about what my feelings. Don't worry about Lon's feelings. Worry about your feelings. That's all that matters. What do you want? Is his message to her.
What do you want? Classic memes now for when you're trying to ask a girl what she wants to eat for food. They always have that.
Yeah, it's great. And then you get like, so during her ride back, she's like very emotional. She almost gets into a car accident, which I thought for sure was going to happen when I first watched it like 15 years ago. So she pulls over, starts reading the last letter. She's crying. She goes to the hotel, and she says she chooses Lon. I'm like, what? I'm like, excuse me? So old Noah then says, then they lived happily ever after. Allie and Lon. And done. And then old Allie's like, wait, who did? Allie and Lon? And then she just kind of remembers that it wasn't actually Lon, that she went back to Noah, and then we get the scene where she drives back to the house with her suitcase, and they embrace. And then Allie comes back to, or Allie remembers everything, that it was us, and they start dancing to "I'll Be Seeing You," which is their song. And then Allie forgets and needs to be sedated. Yeah. And then poor Noah has a heart attack that night. But she looks at all their pictures together, and the inscription on the book that she's reading from is that it's the books were actually written by Allie, and that it's supposed to be read every day to bring me back to you,
which is beautiful.
And then we get the ending of the movie where after he comes back from his heart attack, he goes to lie in the bed, and Allie's remembering who he is, and they're like, do you think our love we can die at the same time? And he's like, I think our love can do anything. And the next morning they both die, and the credits roll. Yeah, beautiful. It's fantastic.
What a great film.
So a couple questions about it. Do you think this movie is supposed to be a twist? Like, is there an actual twist, or is it just we know from the beginning of the movie that's Allie and Noah?
I don't think there's supposed to be a twist.
So you thought from the beginning always?
Yeah, I thought that it was Allie and Noah for sure.
Because he calls himself Duke, right? Like, he's very adamant. Like, James Garner says his name is Duke.
Yeah. It was, I think he just didn't want to
confuse her. Yeah. Because she has dementia. And we see that, right? As soon as, why did you call me sweetie? Right? Like, why did you call me that? Like, she goes into one of her fits. Now, do you like the ending?
I like
them dying, that part, not them getting together, them dying.
No, I like it.
I'm a firm believer that romantic dramas they can't get together in the end. The greatest love stories, they don't get together in the end. Romeo and Juliet, Titanic, The Notebook, right? If you want to remember something, you want to be when you were trying to remember a story, the sadness is going to be more memorable than the happy ending. Yeah, a rom-com ends happily. A rom-dram needs to
it has to have the sad ending. It makes it more. I like the story a lot more when the ending is a little bit sadder. Where it's not like
it's more memorable. Yeah, when they can't be together in the end, it's sad because it makes you like, why couldn't they get together in the end?
Right?
Because what does everyone ever talk about with Titanic? There's room on the raft for both of them. Yeah. Right. Why couldn't they just be together?
Rose let her man die.
No, but that's the aspect. The story they can't be together. That's the whole what makes the story so special. Were you disappointed or sad that the 3 children and grandchildren were only in one scene? And would you have liked them to have been late on in the movie later?
I wasn't disappointed for them. I felt like the story is more towards, if they were added, it would kind of just... The story is for pretty much Noah and Allie. It's Noah and Allie's story. It's their story of love for them. The children they're not a necessity to be part of that story. It was I like the one scene because it's nice to see, like, hey, they started a family together. So you kind of know that they do end up together at the end, right?
I think that scene was really important for that. I would have been disappointed if we didn't see kids at all, because my question would be like, I want to know what happened between when she got into the house to when she got into the home, right? And at least this way I know they had 3 kids together, they have a grandchild. I'm going to assume she's only had dementia for like a year, and they spend all of their life together, so at least I can feel happy about that.
That's another thing that made me happy about the ending, right? I was okay with it because I knew technically they do get back together at the end, right? And you do see they had a life together. So it's not like they just remember, like she went off to go live with Lon and then he's going back to go tell her story again, right? So
Yeah.
I really like that aspect as well.
I agree. I'm with you 100%. What are your thoughts on this? Them telling the story from the elderly perspective.
Loved it.
It wouldn't have worked otherwise.
Yeah, that's what made it so good.
It's like
that element was super important.
It's more. It makes it emotional, right? That's the real, true aspect of the love story. That it works so much better because we see the pain at the end of the life,
and we know they grew old together too, right? So it's
and like you said, to me, people talk about horror movies. The scariest movie ever is still Alice, where she loses her mind. Like that to me, like that's the scariest thing ever.
Yeah.
Okay. Which story intrigued you more, though? The Gosling story or the Gardner story? So the young Noah or the old Noah? What were you more excited for? Like, what were you like, oh my god, we're back to the old. Okay, I'm so happy to see that.
I really liked both. I'm thinking it's going to be the Gosling story. I'm going to say the Gosling story because I liked seeing the romance, but how it started.
I just like watching Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, that too. And plus Rachel McAdams.
And Ryan Gosling's. They're all...
But I wasn't like, oh no, it's another old person. So the scenes they both worked. I liked the scene for what they were used.
Do you know that the old Allie is the mother of the director?
Wow, that's crazy.
Do you think that Allie makes the right choice with Noah, or would you have taken the money and Lon?
No, I'm all about peace of mind, right? If you don't have peace of mind, then it's never the right price. It's not worth it. So I think she made the right choice by going with Noah. But we don't really see if she regretted it, but I don't think she regretted
she didn't regret it. She wrote the story. She
wrote
wrote the Notebook.
That's true.
So there's no doubt that was. They even said like our love is so great they can die together. Like she clearly every time she's back, and that's the miracle, right? The doctors tell Noah that she will not come back out of it. She's done. And every night, yet she comes back.
Yeah.
Their love is that strong. Love at first sight.
Beautiful.
Are you okay with not knowing what happened with Allie's parents, though? Do you think that Allie was cut off? Do you think that was the decision Mom wanted? Do you think that that when the parents died, they got all the inheritance?
That's interesting. I mean, it's not as important as we want to see. It's an interesting. I wouldn't mind not seeing that, but I wasn't upset that I didn't see that. When I think about it, if it was added, I would be like, okay, sweet, that's a nice little add. It's a bonus, but it's not necessary. I don't feel like it's totally necessary for the story, because we see that they still had a family together and they still found their own way.
I would have liked to know that. What Mom and Dad thought. I think Dad would have been okay with it no matter what, and I don't think she was cut off. But I would have liked.
She could afford a facility, right?
I'm sure that house was worth a fortune, though they sold.
Yeah, that's true. That house is probably worth a lot of money.
But I don't know. I am definitely. I don't know. I'm torn by this. I would have liked to see more. But again, a good story, you always want more.
Yeah,
like that's the problem. You could have made that movie. That was 2 hours. That could have been 4 hours. I think I would have liked it just as much. I could have had give me another hour with the elderly Noah and Allie. Give me another hour with the young Noah and Allie. Give me more time with the children. I want everything. I want their entire story. That's how good that movie was.
I do not blame you for that. That was great. There's certain movies where I'm like, when I rewatch it, I'm like, oh man, I'm close to the end. Like, I love when I have to say that about a movie. Wow. You know,
well, I'm not necessarily with movies, but with television shows. Like when I'm watching, like when I'm binging a show, I'll like go through like let's say the show's got 7 seasons. The first 6 seasons I'll fly through in like 2 weeks, and like the 7th season I'll be like, I'm gonna take my time going through this because I do not want this to end.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else to watch, but...
That's how I felt about The Office. Before everybody else got really into The Office, by the way.
What? Do you have any other questions? Anything you want to talk about? Anything we missed?
No, I feel like we covered this movie pretty well.
Anything else you want to say about the mom? Because like we kind of kept saying we were going to talk about her. We brought her up here.
Yeah, we brought her back up, and yeah, like you said, she stole the the letters, right? Her mom, from what we got, the mom didn't really like the relationship at all. Like I said, I felt that she may have been a little bit jealous because she saw like
See, that's what you think it is. You think
she
it was
felt
jealousy.
well, not jealous. I don't want to say jealous. She felt challenged. Like it made her probably question her choice because to see her daughter see that it's making a similar path, but she's sticking with the path that gave her happiness.
See, I agree with you, but this is why I think she's a horrible person, because she should be happy that she got the choice that probably the mom didn't get, right? Like in especially in like the time period, right, where women are just starting to get rights. 20 years earlier in the early 1900s, women didn't have those rights. So give this opportunity. You would think like, yes, go.
Yeah, do what you want to do, but she was more. Yeah, I feel like yes, she was threatened by, like I made the right choice, didn't I?
Yeah.
I swear I did.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I don't know, maybe not. Like it felt like she was trying to convince herself that she still loved her dad's father, but she's like, maybe not. We didn't see it, but that's the vibe I got.
All right, my last question for you is: this Nicholas Sparks' best movie or movie based on one of his books?
I don't know. A lot of people say A Walk to Remember.
That's my favorite. I go with that.
For me, it's The Notebook, but A Walk to Remember is very close.
To me, it's the other way. It's, like, it's A Walk to Remember, but no, because Walk to Remember made me cry. Like I cried. I'm not gonna. I mean, fully admit to it. It was so good. All right, what are you giving this out of 10? Let's end this. We've been talking a long time.
This is my first ever 10 out of 10, guys.
Oh, you're giving it a 10. I thought you didn't give 10 out of 10s.
Just for this one, it's a classic for me.
I will also be giving this a 10 out of 10. Even the small little holes can't. A good love story, a story that makes that anytime you want 2 more hours of a movie or a movie that you can watch, I can't tell you how many times I've seen that. Probably go 5 to 10, somewhere in between there. I know you're over that.
Yeah, I think this movie was in the top 10 of my all-time for me.
It wasn't in your top 10.
It wasn't?
No. You might want to redo your list then.
I got to redo my list. It's up there, though. Top 20 for sure.
I don't know if it'd make my... I definitely won't make my top 20, but it's definitely a fantastic movie that everyone should watch. So if you're looking for a good movie to cuddle with your significant other...
Everyone's seen this movie.
On Valentine's Day, go out for dinner, come back... Eat some chocolate and watch The Notebook. That's what I would recommend.
Rewatch The Notebook because everyone's seen this movie. It's one of the best. It's like the Romeo.
Well, some of our young audience might not have seen it.
Well, they better start.
I bet you if I asked my students tomorrow, they would be like, "I've never seen The Notebook." Kids.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm starting to feel
that movie's 15 years old, man. That's 15 years old this year.
Jeez.
All right.
Oh, God, I'm getting old.
Speaking of things to celebrate, before we let you go, our producer Dave, it's his birthday this week.
Happy birthday,
Dave. Yeah, happy birthday.
You're the man.
34 now. Getting old.
Why did you have to say his age over the air? Like,
I'm going to be 34
maybe he doesn't
too.
want people
it's tough luck.
to
It's
know
over
that.
now. Well, you can technically cut this out if he doesn't like it, though.
That's true.
He is the producer. You'd be like, cut. We're done there. That's it for us this week, guys. Next week, we're going to be talking about Alita and Happy Death Day to You. And we're going to try to get to the Prodigy. And we'll try our nice discussion question to end off our show.
Yeah.
So that's it for us. But again, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Spotify and what am I missing? iTunes, that's one. And make sure to write some comments.
Times and technology.
And definitely make some comments. Hit us up. Tell us what you like, what you don't like.
I just really want to know that I made
Tell Xavier that Cold Pursuit is fantastic after you watch it.
Yeah, I don't know. Liam Nelson has a bad rep right now. People might watch it with a bias.
Let's not talk about that. Anyway, that's it for us. Have a great one.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye.